We are turning them on one by one. All right, here we go. Amazing. Okay, looks like we are live. We're live in here and we are live on the internet. Okay, everything is on. Beautiful. Hello. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Welcome to today, December 10th. It is 2023. I am so delighted to welcome you today to Becoming the Regenaissance. Today is a very, very, very special day, bringing together creators from every corner of the earth who are dedicated to aligning their creative outputs with an actualized world that works for all. And we have such a special program for you, all about becoming. What does this process of becoming look like as we're moving towards a more regenerative, life-affirming future? Thank you for being here live. Thank you for being here on the stream. And so grateful to all of the creators who have come together to make today happen. This is our first salon of cohort 3 of the Design Science Studio and the Design Science Decade. And the Design Science Studio is an educational incubator for the art of the Regenaissance. We are empowering creators, as mentioned, to help co-create a world that works for all. And it is all focused on how can we make cultural change through behavioral change, culture changes. Behavior is a function of culture. And if we are reimagining the potential of life on our planet to have well-being at the center and to have equity and justice and regeneration be our guide so that we may become good ancestors and live in a more thriving world. And we're inspired by this theme of moving from the regenerative renaissance, this period where so much can change and is changing. And today is also a fundraiser for the Design Science Studio's Equity and Diversity Access Fund. And we are going to have a live fundraiser action happening today. It has been so powerful for the Design Science Studio members to be able to participate in this program, which has supported over 200 artists to be inside of this container and this collective quest that we're on. And so we have an important funding gap this year that we're working to support. And this program is really, really centered around uplifting previously marginalized voices, currently marginalized voices, and looking at how it is the voice is missing at the table so often in cultural change, and it is so important to continue to uplift and center. As a woman of color, I also have recognized just how much it is important that invitation and that centering. And so this program is in such support, and all contributions continue to make this possible for communities and underrepresented backgrounds to be centered. And so this is why we have this goal, and we're going to have more time to talk about it a little later, but I just wanted to introduce it. Just a little note that design science is short for comprehensive anticipatory design science. So we're starting with the whole, we're looking ahead, we're creating with intentionality, and we're discovering through experience. So we hope that you have an incredible time today. My name's Roxy. I am the director and architect of the Design Science Studio, and I'm so delighted to welcome you for this opening ceremony. And today's opening ceremony will be with Amanda Gregory. And Amanda Gregory has been a part of the Design Science Studio since the very first year, and she's an active part of the community. I'm gonna welcome her up on stage with me. Amanda is a digital opera artist and facilitator of immersive sound experiences. Her projects combine operatic vocals, 3D sound design, ceremonial containers, psychoacoustic effects, and grounding frameworks drawing from neuroscience, psychology, and contemplative science. Amanda, Thank you for being here and opening this container. It's a very special day because we haven't had a salon since 2022. So in some ways it's historic. I'm gonna give the floor to you to take us into this first session of Becoming the Regenaissance. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me. Can you hear me okay? Great. So, and there was a couple moments where the Wi-Fi froze, and so if that happens, we're just going to keep with the moment. And we have 10 minutes right now, or 8 or so. We're going to dive into an improvisational experience that's interactive. So I'm going to invite you, because I have a whole other screen dedicated to looking at your comments in the chat, to envision. We can close our eyes. We can tune in however we want to the beautiful world that we all know is possible, which is a quote that I really resonate with. And this is an imagination exercise, and it can be a phrase or word, some kind of blessing that we want to send out as a possibility to the universe, for this earth, for this planet. So it could be love, it could be harmony, it could be equality, justice, words that come to mind. And I can't probably integrate everything, but I'll integrate as much as I can into this layering vocal psychoacoustic experience. And so also a reminder to wear headphones if you have them. And go ahead, and whenever you feel called and inspired to add something to the chat, feel free to do so. I'll start right now.
Oh, I think you're muted now, Amanda.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Wow. Oh, that was such a gift. I ran and got my headphones to make sure I could have the experience as well. And it takes so much energy to create things like this, and so it's just like the feeling of the vortex, everything swirling, just really grounding and landing. And thank you for weaving everyone's collective vision in the way that you did. For those of you who are going to come to the BFI 40th anniversary in San Francisco on the 15th, in just a few days, Amanda will be opening that event live. I'm so excited for that. We'll drop some of your links in the chat, Amanda. Thank you so much for opening today. Love you so much. All right. Yay. Yeah, please share your love in the chat. Hi, Jonathan. I am now going to welcome Amisha. I'm so excited to welcome Amisha today. Hi, Amisha.
Hi.
My goodness, recalibrate now. I feel recalibrated. I'm so delighted to welcome you to join the stage and to be kind of sharing your gifts and also helping host today. For everyone who doesn't know, Amisha Gadiali, is that how I say it? You do a good job.
Yeah, Gadiali. That's good.
Gadiali, beautiful. As a part of cohort 3 of the Design Science Studio, and as a facilitator, author of Intuition, and host of the podcast All That We Are. And today will take us on a journey to the community explorations of how our vision creates the future, weaving through activism, the sacred, creativity, and regeneration. Thank you for being here. Thank you for all that you do and all that you are.
Thank you. Well, first, I want to say a huge thank you to Roxy and to the whole team. The Design Science Studio experience is created with so much love and so much tending to this community and all of the visions and all of the creativity that exists here. And I'm continually blown away by how much love and care is expressed. And today, for me, it's already nearly 7 p.m. here in England, and some of you it's early morning, and we're here for this marathon of incredible creativity. And so yeah, so much love and has gone into this, and this invitation to really connect to what each of us is holding that can guide us to a more beautiful future is really key to my work, and part of what I have been creating in this world. And it fits in really beautifully with what Amanda was sharing as she asked us to tune into the more beautiful world our hearts know is possible. And we're going to be going a little bit more into that in these next few moments. I started this project, All That We Are. It was originally called Think, Act, Vote 13 years ago, and then it transformed into The Future is Beautiful, and then into All That We Are. So you can see a little bit of the journey that I've been on there in the last 13 years in this call. And in my 20s, I was working in politics and political activism and sustainable fashion, and in these spaces to make a difference. And in 2010, which was a UK election year, I had this experience of really just not being connected. And it was quite wild for me because in the previous UK election, I'd actually worked on campaign, and I'd worked on the 2004 US elections. And I was just really struck by how the vision that we have in our political system is that we vote for a party, and we kind of like vote for their vision, and then we entrust them to create that in the world. And as we know, it's not that simple, and our systems are not like that, and everything is far more complicated. And it what really came alive for me when I was contemplating that in 2010 was like, wow, we all need to be so much more connected to the visions of the world that we want to create, and that we have to be able to answer that question. And it doesn't have to be out loud, it can even just be energetic, but to give ourselves that permission to connect to the power that we have, and the power that our vision holds, felt to me to be such an important part of this whole story of our future. And at the time, I had spent a lot of time, I was spending a lot of time with social entrepreneurs and people that were really like working on something in the world. But then when I would ask them this question, what is the future you choose? What is the world that you want to live in? Or it's now evolved to, what are the futures of your wildest dreams? What I noticed time and time again, even from people that I saw as leaders, as people that were so like on their path, like creating their vision in the world, that actually they found it really hard to answer this question. And the reason was because of a sense of permission. And it feels like that's one of the things that has been stripped away through so many of the systems of oppression that we have lived with for so many years. And this is why the theme of intuition is so important to me, because I feel like it's one of the number one skills that we need at this time in order to discern and to participate fully as humans in the unfolding that we're currently in. And I was in this contemplation recently, and we were kind of discussing, you know, like activism has so many different parts to it. And of course, I believe that it's important to show up in so many different ways, especially those of us here that have the privilege to do so. But if we don't start with that vision and that prayer in that part of our energy, like that's where we can connect to, you know, the most beautiful possibilities. And then when we have that guiding us energetically, like I really believe that anything can happen. And so what I would love for us to do is take a moment here together, close our eyes. And if you want to change your posture, so you're sitting up taller, and feel your roots, feel what connects you to the earth. Feel yourself as earth. And feel the expanse into the skies and the cosmos above. And breathing into that space of deep connection. What I want us to do here is connect to the permission that we have. And many of us here in this circle feel already very connected to that permission to dream, to create, to live our lives from the depths of our soul, to be artivists here in the world. So if you already have that permission, connect to that. And if you can feel like, ooh, there's a little something that's not quite free here, see if you can breathe permission into that space. Now, what I would love for us to do with our collective energy here is to connect to all of the hearts in this world, the 7-8 billion of them. And share this permission. And this permission is to connect to the deepest, most beautiful possibilities that you understand, perhaps even in this space beyond words, for our future and for our role in creating it. And bring your energy back. And very softly and gently open your eyes. Just want us to really recognize how much we all have to be able to do the work that we're doing, and what that gives to others as we give permission to ourselves, how we can give others permission, and more of us can be on this journey of believing that something is possible and knowing that everything that we do, that we say, that we think, that we feel, that we do with our highest spiritual energy, that we buy, all of it matters, and all of it is creating the future. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Amisha. That was such a gift. The grounding into the visions of what we want, and like how important it is to give ourselves that permission to liberate our dreams and to see our role in co-creating the future, and the ripples that gives to others and to ourselves. We're definitely facing a crisis of imagination, and if we can't imagine it, we can't move towards it. And so thank you so much. And I actually am going to now formally invite you to keep the stage as our MC, to now introduce Ebion, who I am so delighted is here. And we have coming up next, one of the things, as mentioned, Amisha has this podcast, and of the now 200 episodes that you've done, which I know you have.
199, 200 is next week.
You have your event tomorrow, I think, celebrating that. And I know you've had a number of artists from the Design Science Studio, and Ebion, who is a friend and someone who I really admire in the world. You recently had a podcast with. So We're so grateful that you're here, Abby. Thank you so much. And Amisha's gonna complete the introduction for you, but I just want to welcome you so warmly here. And thank you for all that it took for you to get here today, sister.
Thank you, Roxy. And yeah, welcome, Abby. Abby is a poetess of Somali Italian descent. She is the founder of Mother Tongue and teaches on decolonialism and feminine mysticism. And we recently did a really beautiful podcast episode, really speaking into what's happening in Gaza and the wider implications around what it means and what this time is and how we can understand our role in collective liberation. And many people have written to me and said, thank you for this, and thank you for the articulation within that. And Evian has a very powerful poetic way with words and with spoken word and with the embodiment that she brings. If you ever see her dance or perform, she really invites her whole body and her whole self into the work that she shares. So Evian, you're going to be sharing with us Soulful Rebellion to the Mania of Modernity.
Thank you. Thank you, Roxy. Can you all hear me if I speak like this? Yeah, okay, good. So, a soulful rebellion to the mania of modernity. I have been sitting with the reality of the times that we're living in, as I know many of you who are here have been doing and feeling. These are incredibly troubled times. The waters are troubled. And it is a time of great transformation collectively and personally. So I want to just take a moment to drop in and allow ourselves to widen our capacity to remember what is happening in these times. And to choose intentionally not to become overwhelmed, but actually to be propelled forward by that momentum. And that is one of the keys of the soulful rebellion that we're going to be speaking about right now. I believe that I first heard this from a regenerative farmer, David Avocado Wolf, when he was speaking about, this is well before the beginning of let's say, this current genocide and crisis that we're seeing. But what we're seeing now are emanations of root issues that have been around for some time, right? And so he was speaking about the trouble that we're in, the climate crisis, and the direction of humanity as responsible for how we're impacting the rest of the world. And when he spoke about this, he said, "What exciting times to live in." And I was like, what? Because most of the time I spend a lot of my drive is also from the outrage, right? And the frustration. But it is key for us to remember and to reframe the directionality of our work, whether that is through artistry, through activism, through parenting, through our presence, but to reframe that towards a state of also excitement and opportunity. And this is just a general opening. We're going to go through some of the maps, though it's a very short amount of time to be able to dissect, let's say, the map of the mania of modernity in its fullness and the antidotes that we are collecting along the way. I'm not going to spend time talking about myself because I'd rather we spend time in content and in mutual upliftment and propelling a prayer out into the world that is grounded in both our action and in our emanation of the level of awareness and consciousness that we hold and are constantly upgrading. So when I speak about the soulful rebellion, it's in essence about the regeneration of the human spirit, which is why it's so beautiful that this conference is called the Regenaissance. So it's a deeply sacred role that we are playing right now, not just as individuals, but also as the constellation, some more isolated than others. But it's important to know that we're not alone in this. Part of what is happening is a healing of humanity, a rewiring, so to say, of our very makeup and the way that we interact with the world around us. So in some ways, it's a remembering, but in other ways, it's also an emergent field. In the platform that Amisha mentioned in Mother Tongue, one of our main values is about the ancient emergence. And so that means that we may reap information and resource from the wisdom of indigenous cultures, from the ancestors, from the matriarchal time periods before the last 4,000 years. But we also have to be aware, and I love that Amisha brought imagination forward. We have to be aware that there is an emergent field happening, that the answers are going to be born from this moment, and that requires our willingness to feel, to dive deep into the realness of what's going on, to let that be like the compost, the soil, and to allow the sprouting to come from that darkness. Got to feel it to heal it. That's right, Stacey. So, I have a structure, but I'm also in the emergent field, and I'm going to jump around a lot. So, thank you for entertaining that journey with me. Because we're already around the feeling field, I'm going to talk about cognitive imperialism. And so some of the mania of modernity, one of them is the idea that reason, logic, linearity is the only form of intelligence available to us and the only valid form of either intaking or outputting intelligence, information, and sharing that into the world and receiving that. And so what we are reclaiming is intuition, as Amisha said, emotion, heart, enchantment, allowing the field of what is, and I'm just going to map out again, cognitive imperialism, so cognition, right? And imperialism being what has been overtaken and then valued higher than the other. So to root ourselves in the dense, dark, in the heartbreak. I saw a speech that Aisha Siddiq did at COP that was really beautiful. And one of the things that she said, that she opened with, was, why is your heart not broken? And of course, some of you, of course, your heart is broken. But she's speaking to a different audience, right? But to really even celebrate the amount of us in the world whose heart is broken, not just because of ourselves, not just because of what is around us, but because of what is happening to our kin that we may have no blood relation to, It's been very interesting to be very vocal towards the end of this genocide and occupation that's happening, and to receive a lot of profiling that, in fact, I have some lineage to that land, because solidarity is such a foreign thing to the Western construct. So solidarity and tribalism are two very different things, right? Tribalism is me and my people. Solidarity means when there is anyone in need, when there is anyone who is harmed, I will be there for them. Their children are my children. Their pain is my pain. And together we can hold it, we can handle it. To bring this more on a personal level, I don't know if any of you have experienced the difference between friends who come from that perspective and friends who don't. So I have sisters who would sometimes apologize to me when they would share their pain of whatever, you know. And I come from Somali background, so that doesn't exist in that framework of being. And I remember just recognizing how sick in a way we have come as a society to think that to bring our pain and our suffering to our friends, we have to apologize to them as though we are weighing them down. You know, there's nothing that is a weight when somebody comes to us with their suffering. If we're coming from a certain expansive place from within the heart, you don't have to take it on as I have to do something about it, I have to fix it. It's actually a space of compassion that allows, and compassion not as like pitying of the other. Compassion is in, I'm willing to feel it with you as extensions of each other. So I'm gonna go back into some of the structure that I wanted to bring. If any of us have eyes, right, we are aware that as a human society, we have broken some of the codes or the laws of being that we see from the ecosystems around us. And we can go philosophically into where does that come from? How did human consciousness evolve? Is it free will? Is it the natural progression of things? That is for a separate time, but we're just going to sit with that reality, right? We have broken Ma'at, as it's known in North Africa. Humanity has stepped outside of cosmic law and cosmic order and created systems that uphold that brokenness. Asata Shakur said, one of my heroes, you have to act as if it were possible to radically transform the world, and you have to do it all the time. So this is a reminder for anyone who has been radicalized by what we have been witnessing, the atrocities and war crimes of the last couple of months, and the way that that has also illuminated the horrors and the pain and suffering throughout the world, from Sudan to Congo to Somalia to Syria to historical and present day suffering in the most marginalized of communities. And specifically to orient us towards one issue that has global attention, which is what is happening right now in Palestine. To focus there does not take away from any of the other issues that are happening, because again, we're coming from the same roots, the roots of supremacy, of domination, of extractivism. It is perfectly human for this to change you. It should change you. It should change the way that we see ourselves. It should change our habits. It should change the way that we engage politically and in our communities. And if there's any one good thing that comes out of the suffering that is abhorrent right now, it's that it propel and change us and how we show up to become agents of benevolence in a human society that has perhaps caught amnesia, but that is also redeemable, that is reclaiming soulfulness. The soul is beyond our definition, right? It's not something that we can map out in that, as I was saying with cognitive imperialism, it's not something that can be mapped out in logic and reason. It is a subtle field, and it is ever present. May these times, radicalize us to become menaces to the status quo, to the comfort of our privilege bubbles. I am the first. Anything that I speak to you, I want you to know that I'm speaking also to myself. That in the day-to-day hustle and grind of just surviving in this world, it's sometimes easy to just stay in that. And depending on our layers of privilege, there's also the importance of recognizing our spaces of capacity, but to also know that these are urgent times and that our comfort within a system that is not serving the spirit of humanity, the true possible heart of humanity, that in these urgent times, may we, with our actions, our emanations, our voices, whatever sphere of influence that we have, may we step forward. And may we dare enough to not try to be sugar and spice and everything nice, right? Instead, to be salty and defiant and extremely non-compliant to a centuries-old system that has failed us and the world around us, human and non-human. Our society is hungry for it. And so we have this chance to repair. And that's why, in a way, the focal point that's happening right now is an important focal point. It's a symbolic orientation collectively that will help the liberation movements across our world. You know, Nelson Mandela knew it. Malcolm X knew it. Many of the great freedom fighters of the past were never singularly looking only at themselves and their people. Just as a important anecdote, Nelson Mandela was on the terrorist watch list until 2007 as a peaceful freedom fighter from apartheid in South Africa. This was even after the negotiations had happened for that freedom and equality to be returned to the Black South Africans. So modernity as we know it is built off of Eurocentric models that have spread across our globe. And they've been passed on like a disease, you know, creating dis-ease. Some of those poisonous values, I've already mentioned a few of them, but just to bring clarity around it. Individualism, as opposed to ecosystem consciousness, as opposed to the ability to hold both and. I can be an I and I can be a we at the same time. So that includes, within individualism, it includes also separation from nature, that there is human and there is nature. One of the greatest shifts that can happen, and also will happen as we change leadership in our world. One of the things we spoke about in Amisha's beautiful podcast is about the importance of both matriarchal leadership and representation from the global south. And they share similarities, though they're not exactly the same, but one of them being that settler colonialism brought a dissociative complex in the way that human beings relate to everything around us. And it's evident in how colonialists and descendants treat the natural world. First Nations people, and Nikki Black, one of my mentors, is a great reference for this specific information, saw themselves and see themselves as the land, indistinguishable and inseparable. And so you would have to give a second thought before chopping down a tree or polluting water, if you actually are those things, if your family is a forest. And so part of that is an intentional reorienting of our consciousness, that we are nature. We are nature that may not be functioning directly and solely from instinct. We have this thing called self-awareness that can also be a compass that guides us and reorients based on our intentionality. Roxy, can you just let me know, do I have about 7 more minutes if I'm correct?
I think you actually have more like half of that. Maybe
Okay.
a little.
Okay, thanks. So, yeah. So in the same way as, we spoke about individuals, I'm going to just jump ahead to get to some of the key concepts. Capitalism is a representation of an absurd notion that we can enjoy infinite growth within a finite system. In biology, that includes production as much as profit. In biology, that concept, those cells, are called cancer. The drive for endless profit and production is part of what has led us here. It's part of those structures I was saying before that have been put in place that uphold the brokenness, uphold the break between cosmic law and cosmic order. So what do we do about that, right? First, we have to study these cages in order to be able to source the antidotes. One of those antidotes is reciprocity, creating smaller systems, even within local economies, within how we relate to the people around us, breaking the mold of business as usual and cold-heartedness in our businesses as we walk through times of transition. And also dreaming up new economic models is critical in these times. A big part of what is happening within Palestine and Israel right now are economically driven incentives for mass murder. This leads me to one of the next poisons around supremacy. Supremacy and inferiority being two parts of the same coin. One feeds the other. And so, what role do we play as artists, activists, healers, visionaries? We have to step out of that game. One of the affirmations that I speak to my son constantly is, I am not better than anyone and no one is better than me. I am not better than anyone and no one is better than me. So even, again, bringing that back into the current political context, we can still hold people accountable without dehumanizing them in the way that they have dehumanized others. We can still leave room for their possibility to make amends and to be redeemable themselves. And it is critical and important. We cannot come from the same frame of mind that brought this problem here. Paraphrasing Einstein. And then one of the last poisons related to that's, they birth each other and they're interwoven. Domination, power over rather than power with. And this leads to extractivism in the way that we can also be extractive in our nature, in the way that we interact relationally. It's not just something that functions on the collective. And it's a very different model than synergy or synarchy, where we don't come from hierarchy, we come from the collective well-being of all. Part of matriarchal leadership, and one of the reasons why I'm an advocate for this is because at its heart, at its root, most people think that when we speak about matriarchy, we speak about women being in power and dominating men. That is a patriarchal construct from what we have seen for the last 4,000 years. And there's anthropological studies we could go into, but we'll save that for another time, about the difference between the last 4,000 years of human history versus 20 to 25,000 years before that. And so what I mean when I speak about matriarchal leadership is the space of consciousness that is coming from collective well-being, that everyone everywhere was once somebody's baby. So the closing that I just would like to bring is also about in our different ways, how do we enact, how do we bring about benevolent change? So the first thing that I want to share is a direct action, which is to not engage. Tomorrow is a global strike, organized globally, internationally, via different organizations, to not engage with the system, do not go to work, do not buy anything. To step out, we need acts of radical, nonviolent civil disobedience as much as we need acts of reimagination. What is the world you want to live in? And so this was part of one of the things I wanted to bring, but Amisha already began this, to envision, what does it look like? What is the world what does it feel like? What does it taste like? To have an actual journey like, contemplation, and to envision what it is for humanity to live in harmony with the web of life. And so as an artist, I want to share the importance in bringing those visions forward and sharing them. You don't have to be an artist to do this, but the role of the artist is to make the revolution irresistible, as June Jordan said. And I would bring that out wider than just the artist. It is the role of any of us. And what we need for that, the key ingredient, is re-enchantment. What role does enchantment play in guiding us home? Home to ourselves, home to each other, home to the non-human world that surrounds us, where the footsteps that carried us here feel purposeful, where we can become so enraptured with the moment that life flows through us like water. And so each of us, with our heartbreak, with our willingness to, I would even say to the proportion of our allowance of that heartbreak, we become lighthouses to each other, guiding us home, not through the pointing the finger of you need to do this, you should do this, but to the invitation of a re-enchantment that is by no means passive, that can equally be lovingly ferocious as graceful and artful and seductive. And so even through this moment, right, where we are working with technology to be able to reach through the screen to each other, to petition the soul of the world, of the human, to come forward into the world. And in that way, we become artists of life. To become artists of life means that we are in constant service to each other and in constant listening to that shared core that is what weaves all of human and non-human life together. So I'm going to leave it at that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Abian. So much of what you shared, it's just so potent, all of the words, and to really actually understand this moment that we're in a way that is powerful, rather than that we are here as the victims of something, that this is our time. And as one of your mentors, Jaya John, said, this is our revolution of this time, and it may not be convenient or the one that you're looking for, but this is the one that is happening. And so here we are. And Roxy has shared your links for Mother Tongue and for your Instagram as well, so people can connect deeper. I would love to invite everyone, just for the next 30 seconds, to do whatever it is in your body that can just help you to integrate these powerful words. And whether that's closing your eyes for 30 seconds or stretching or making some kind of movement, whatever it is that you need in order to allow these words to really come alive in your consciousness. And do also share in the chat anything that has particularly stirred you. Okay, thank you, Ebian. We have Arena up on the screen. Our next guest here, our next visionary is Arena Kratunis. Is that correct?
Yeah. Very good.
So Arena Kratunis is a new media artist and animator who explores nature and the cosmos, crafts new perceptions, and speaks for those who don't speak in human voice. And has created a short animation series appreciating those that once walked amongst us. And so you're about to share with us shadows of our fellow travelers. Welcome, Arena.
Thank you. Thank you. I just wanted to say that I want to thank the word givers. It was beautiful. And that when I was a part of cohort 2, so we were graduating in 2022, becoming evolutionaries, DSS posed the question of what we wanted to commit ourselves to. And at the time I wanted to commit, and I felt at the time, and I continue to feel, that I wanted to speak for those who don't speak in human voice. And so this is just a really short, it's a compilation of a series that will be longer, and it's only about 1.5 minutes that I'd like to share. And it's a precursor to a forthcoming series, I guess I should say. And it is anchored around the song of the Kauai-o-o bird, Kauai-o-o honey eater, that went extinct in 1987. And it's the last recording, and it's calling out for a mate that will never answer. And so please play the video. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for the stage. Yeah, I'm a true believer in, I think it was Steve Irwin said it, who was the Australian conservationist, famously the crocodile hunter. He said that if we save the wild places, we will ultimately save ourselves. That's how I feel. Thank you.
Thank you, Arena. That was so beautiful. And one of the more than human creatures in my space is perked up and was like, what's happening?
I have a few of those.
Yeah. 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 And a reminder that we can all speak more than human if
Absolutely.
we allow ourselves to. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I would like to welcome Alicia into the space, who is going to share more around this event and how you can participate in this as a fundraiser. Is Alicia here?
Yes, I am. I'm so sorry. I was not Amisha. Is that right? Irana, Della. We have Della coming up. I'm so sorry. Della, I'm so excited to see Della here as well. Della, we have had some deep experiences here in design science, as well as Della has shared her work in some of our exhibitions on the Vision Train. And Della is a Canadian artist who has 10 books published. She's collaborated with many artists along the way, some of them here from design science as well. And Della, it looks like you're going to be sharing about the star galaxy for the world Bali. Is that right?
Unmute me. Yeah, thank you, Alicia. Hey, good to see you.
Good to see you too.
So great to be part of this. I'm very excited. I love being part of cohort 3. I was part of cohort 2, and it's just one of the greatest things. Can you hear me all right?
Sound
Yes?
great. Yep.
Okay. I say that because I'm on the other side of the world right now. I'm in Bali, and it's 3 in the morning. I'm half awake. But I would love to share a little bit about the project that I've been working on here. And I guess I'll go into my share screen and do that. Just figure this out. Chrome tab. Let me see. Oh, golly. All right. Let's try it this way. Can you see that? Can everyone see that all right?
No, you're not sharing your screen yet. So if you go down to the bottom of the Zoom window, there's a green share
Okay.
screen button.
Okay, just one sec. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay, share screen.
Yep.
That's what I was concerned about, is being able to share it properly. I did it with Stacy today, so I know I can do it. I'm going into the Chrome tab. I can't seem to get into my file. Just one sec.
There's a
I
lot to the
left this.
controls of the space station.
Okay. We're going into the Chrome and I can't seem to see it. I have everything else here, but not what I need.
If you'd like, I can share the file you emailed us.
Yeah, thank you.
That help? Okay, great. If you want to just start talking about it while I pull it up.
Okay, great.
So we stay on track.
Sorry, for some reason I don't have it in my share screen.
Don't worry,
Chrome
I'll do it for you. You can just go ahead. The slides will come up in just a moment.
Okay, right. So Bali is an amazing place to be. We've been here for about a month working on this project. It's something that I originally wanted to do in 2022 with the cohort 2, but because of COVID and because of the restrictions on visas, we weren't allowed to come into Bali. And now it has opened up again. I'm so pleased to get a chance to do this here. And I think that it's something that is needed in the world right now, is positive energy. And that's what I have been working towards in Bali, is working with the students here at a dance school in sharing one of my stories called Star Galaxy for the World. Star Galaxy for the World is a story about meeting the star child, and the star child, oh, here we go. Okay. Star Galaxy for the World, a regenerescence experienced by the Design Science Studio with Della Burford. Okay. We can go to the next slide. It goes pretty quickly. It is something that is regenerated and renewed. And there's a picture of a flower here, but you don't see it. What is Star Galaxy for the World? Star Galaxy finds the Earth is polluted and auras are fading. That's what the story is about. And you are the star child in the story, and you're going to be empowered by meeting the 5 storytellers. Okay? Oops, there we go. Okay. How did this story come about? The Star Galaxy story evolved from the Miracle Galaxy story. I write books, and one of them was called Miracle Galaxy, which was written when I had cancer, and I had a spontaneous recovery. And the guides that came to me to heal became the magic storytellers in this story. Okay? The Miracle Galaxy story was performed in Japan in 2021. And I said to myself at the time that I saw it being performed with the storytellers there, this is a story not only for self-healing of oneself, which is how I originally wrote it, but it's a story for healing our world. Thus, Star Galaxy for the World was born. Okay? And you may ask, why is Star Galaxy in Bali? Well, I have gone to Bali 10 times, and I found that the energy in Bali is a sacred energy. It balances the body, it balances the mind, it balances the spirit together. And the healing qualities of this story and what it represents really radiate in the country of Bali. And so I said, the story must be told in Bali. Okay? One thing I found quite fascinating, I went to have dinner actually with one of the artists here, and I discovered that Buckminster Fuller was in Bali. And I didn't realize that. And to my surprise, I discovered that he visited the young artists in Panastanan, Ubud. There's a community in Ubud that is called Panastanan, and there's an artist called Eric Smith that developed in 1960 a program for them as what were considered poor farmers to become artists, and he taught them all sorts of art techniques. And it is something quite wonderful because there were 300 people involved, and now all sorts of people in Panastanan are artists. And Bucky Fuller came to Ubud and said, oh my God, this is an incredible project. I support it. And he started buying the paintings of the young artists in Panastanan, and he built a dome for them, a bamboo dome in their area. That was in 1984 that he was there. Okay. This is, that is one of the artists that saw Buckminster Fuller when he was in Bali, and he saw him speaking, and I met him for dinner. And he is one of the young artists that has become not only a young artist, but a visionary, and he's become the Dean of Arts in Denpasar. Okay. Another master I've been working with in Bali is Aimari Sidia, and here he is with Jack Patterson from Canada, who also assisted in my project here. And my husband, Dale Bertrand, also helped me. In Bali, the talents of generations are passed from generation to generation. This is Aimari, his father, his son, and the other sons of his brother. The women are involved as well. Okay. This is the school I was working at called Parapurna, and there were 200 students at the school. Okay. Each child made a bird helmet to fly in their imagination, dreams, and to encourage play. Okay. Buckminster Fuller, when envisioning the spaceship Earth metaphor, said, whereby the Earth's population would work or rather play together for the collective benefit of the whole planet. He really was into play. And I was inspired by hearing that and decided that I would include play as a big part of our project here. Okay. Through storytelling, play, and improv, we visited the Star Galaxy storytellers and learned their magic words. Okay. In going on the Star Galaxy for the world journey, we first go to the south. It's going in the 4 directions and then to the center. And we find the gratitude storyteller who says the words, I and gratitude are one. I love gratitude. And these are words that are to be echoed in everyone's mind. The children then did a gratitude dance. It's an offering dance by the children where they're offering something to the world. And the next slide is good. The people in Bali have offerings that they make every day, and you see them walking around with the offerings on their head, and they make offerings outside of your door, outside of the stores, everywhere is offerings. Gratitude is a huge part of their society. Okay? Buckminster Fuller's quotes are sprinkled throughout the storytelling, so when this story was told, this young girl was the narrator of Buckminster Fuller's quotes, and she said, make the world work for 100% of humanity and all life. Okay? In the West, when we go around the circle, we find the kindness storytellers who say, I and kindness are one. Okay? I will take kindness action. Here's one of the dancers. Kindness is compassion for others. It can be for yourself. It can be for the world. Buckminster Fuller quoted, and I feel this is one of his more compassionate quotes, we must see the earth as a spaceship, and our fate is common. It is everyone or no one. Okay? The third storyteller is from the north and says, I and peace are one. I love peace. Okay. I will take peace action. And this was the peace storyteller, and she did this beautiful peace dance, actually. Most of the students they're really incredible at choreographing. That's what they're learning. Okay. The narrator said in the storytelling, it is now highly feasible to take care of everyone on earth at a higher standard of living than any other known. This is, of course, a quote from Bucky. It's a matter of converting the high technology of weaponry to livery. In the East, when we go around the circle, we meet the creativity storyteller, and she says, I and creativity are one. I love creativity. Creativity is a big part of Bali. You're not only immersed in people that are gracious, people that are kind, you are immersed in people that are creative. Everybody sort of learns some art. The art is considered one of the highest things to do in Bali. This is the puppetry, which they do a lot of puppetry, which is a form of storytelling. Okay? The narrator said, never forget that you're one of a kind. Never forget, if there weren't any need for you and all your uniqueness to be on the earth, you wouldn't be here in the first place. Okay? Next slide. The last storyteller in the wheel is positive change or transformation. Okay? Buckminster Fuller says, there is nothing in a caterpillar that tells us it's going to be a butterfly. Okay? We come together to dance a story and transform, like we did at the school. Okay? So the goal has been met to be an inspiration to a grassroots organization. Okay? To celebrate actions and share values. Okay? to shift consciousness. And as a friend said to me, we were playing, but we were stirring divinity in the world. And that's the end of my presentation. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Della. Thank you for staying up so late and sharing with us beautiful work and
Yeah, thank you.
taking us with you to Bali, which is such an incredible place and has such a powerful frequency of the land and the people, as you shared. And
Yes.
last time I was there, I got to experience it with Zach Bush and his kind of like his experience with it, and just the notion of getting to experience it with Buckminster Fuller has definitely filled me with some delight that was part of his journey. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. I appreciate being able to share this with everyone. Yeah, thank you.
We've shared Della's website as well in the chat, so please do check it out. So as I was saying, this is a fundraising event, and DSS is fundraising in order to bring you the voices that you've already been experiencing here in the Salon. And so amplifying voices of women, of people from all over the world, creators of color, LGBTQ plus community, people from low income backgrounds, all of this. And you know, we can't create this future without having all of these people and more involved. And so that's what this fundraiser is for the Diversity, Equity and Inclusion Scholarship Access Fund. And I will share a link of how you can contribute. So if you're feeling inspired by what you're experiencing today, please do, even just, you know, a small amount, a big amount, whatever you can do. It will really make a difference in being able to continue and deepen and strengthen and expand this incredible work. Okay, next, I would like to invite Leah Lamb.
Hello.
Amazing. Welcome, Leah. So Leah is a visionary from cohort 3, this current cohort. And she's a writer, storyteller, and performance artist who works with story as a tool for healing. And Leah is going to share with us a process around restorying. So over to you, Leah.
Hi. We're going to go on a journey. And I have some slides that are coming up. Is that right? Great. Thank you. First of all, I just want to say thank you so much for having me here. It is such an honor to be with all of you. Mark has been going on and on and on about how wonderful you all are. And I knew Roxy was amazing. And then getting to be in your space and co-create before was just an incredible experience that I'm still buzzing from. So just grateful for all this kind of good gathering together. And let's go on a big journey. So I can't see you, which is very strange for me as a storyteller because I'm used to being able to see everybody. So I'm just going to see if I can't. Can I go to gallery? No, I can't. Okay. But what we're going to do, don't look at the slides yet. And if you're like moving around and do anything, I really want to invite you to like find a still spot for 4 or 5 minutes and get to go on this like awesome wild journey. Oh, thank you guys. And so I invite you to take a moment and close your eyes. And I'm going to invite you to like beam into 66 years from now. And you might not have known it, but in the place that we're going to, it's like we did it. All of the work that was being done by this time, it resulted in the exact dream, like the best version of the dream that we could imagine. There was a healthy, thriving planet. There's clean water. There's more than enough time for healthy and wonderful interactions. There is capacity for a wide breadth of diversity. And there's even more. The things that you have individually been taking on to make sure that the threads are woven into the future, they're there. So I invite you in this place of your imagination, as you look around this beautiful world that you've been a part of creating so long ago. Can you see one thing in that space that is the thing that tells you we did it? All those groups coming together to gather their forces, to gather their energy, to focus, to bring clarity in that's possible, to give their life force energy to build and design and create the bridge into this world. What is telling you that we did it? And now we're going to come back and we're going to co-weave this story together. And so now if I can see that slide again, thank you so much. Okay. So now I'm going to give you prompts and you are going to type into that amazing thing that Roxy just gave you. Now, here's the thing. I'm going to ask you, don't engage your thinking brain. Okay, this isn't about us thinking, right? This is about us connecting with our collective genius, with allowing the muse of inspiration to come in and give to us. So in this first prompt, okay, you're actually talking to a very young person in the future. And you're remembering and you're saying, I'm so delighted that you've asked me about my journey. Oh my God, people talk to elders in the future. This is so great. And I can't wait to tell you all about how I got here. You know, it is such a wild story about how we got to this beautiful world that we're living in. And you know, it wasn't always like this. And now I'm going to ask you to type in the things that you saw, the things that tell you that we are in that world that we most wanted to build and create. And so, right, like what do people eat there? You know, how do people communicate? How do people learn in this new beautiful world? How do people engage with each other? How many animals are there on the planet? Or what kinds of animals did you see? You know, it wasn't always like this. You know, we didn't always have these incredible oasis pools of water, of sections and all different kinds of large community gatherings. Did you know that we didn't always eat from our local bioregion? Now you just we didn't. Did you know that urban rivers weren't always so alive and vibrant and filled with all different kinds of biodiverse and different plants? Did you know that we hadn't figured out how to garden in urban rivers back in the day? We love doing that now. Did you know that it wasn't always like this? That we didn't always know how to grow fresh food with our own hands and always be able to pick it and choose it from our neighbors' homes and from city streets? Did you know that we didn't always give personhood to nature? I know, it's amazing. The laws that we changed, it's incredible. Did you know that we didn't always communicate with so much spaciousness and breath and deep witnessing? Did you know that we didn't always know how to make space for more than words? Did you know that we didn't have cogent communication with other species yet? I know it's hard to imagine. And that we hadn't yet learned how to ask for consent for resources. Can you imagine that we didn't always know how to rest? Oh, I love resting now. And did you know that before the leprechaun was beaming, there was a darkness that became unbearable? Did you know that we didn't always live in this kind of harmony with our native wildlife? Can you imagine such a thing? Can you believe that we used to have fences and that we fenced them out of our community? I know, it was crazy. Can you believe that we feel this alive in our energy and our physical health? Can you believe that we didn't always get to pick up fruits off the trees right after swimming in the lakes? You know, we didn't always know how to hold space for the dissonance and the disharmony as the sacred points of coming together in a deeper way. We have learned so much. And that's why we're going to go to the next chapter. So, wow, doesn't it feel good to be there? It's like, wow, it's such a beautiful place to be. You guys are really inspiring me. I know I've got goosebumps too. That's like, oh, and I love what we learn in this space, right? We learn like, oh, what is there? And then you see, this is the next chapter. When I was growing up, things were a bit more complicated. Now we're going back in time to the time that we're in. And we're imagining the things that we want to see change in order to get to that beautiful place that we just visited. Okay. And it might be the specific things that you're working on even. Okay. Can you believe that when I was growing up, I had to deal with colonization and capitalization? Do you have any idea what world that was like? You don't, because you can't even imagine it, you cute little kid. Can you believe that when I was growing up, it was so much complicated? Profit was the center. It was the center of everything. And it was horrible. Yeah, when I was growing up, it was very, very different. There was a lot of greed, and there was a lot of war, a lot of violence. It still just dominated the place. Now, I don't want to give you the wrong idea. It wasn't like it was all horrible, but there are just some things that you should really know about that was happening because you don't have to live with them anymore. See, back when I was growing up, there was this thing called oppression, and it was rampant. We didn't understand what we know about love now because back then, so many people didn't know how to love themselves. And back then there was this thing around self-serving and competition. I know they didn't know about collaboration yet, but you guys do. And it's like we were stuck in our logical left brains and cut off from our intuition. We barely understood what the concept of a holistic brain was. It was kind of crazy. Like we really thought of ourselves as single entities. I know you can't even imagine it. But people could not attend to what was truly meaningful. And that was probably one of the hardest parts of that time. Yep, we didn't know how to embrace each other for lengthy periods of time. We didn't have a clue. That whole thing of presence was very hard. And it's kind of crazy, but we saw ourselves as separate from nature. I know you can't imagine that now, but we did. And we divided ourselves into these imaginary labels and people were judged by their gender and by their ethnicity. And there was this thing called financial status. I know it's long gone, but we used to have it back then. It was so hard to follow our hearts. I know you guys don't even have to have the phrase because it's just your way of being. But back in the day, we had to create these phrases so that we could find a way, We actually forgot who we were. We were so dual, this whole us versus them. And sometimes people were even judged or silenced for standing up for justice. We're going to move into the third chapter. Some of us, yeah. So, so it's like, okay, that was a change, right? We felt the leap. Now, you want to know how we changed? Well, let me tell you. So now, really allowing yourself to be inspired. You guys are all in this inspirational place. Like, what if you thought a brand new thought that you've never had? Like, how did we change? Imagine what would it take to make that change? Oh, could you put that little thing up again so I could read it? Yeah. So, what would it take to change the systems? Something might be easy, some may be hard, but what new things might have to be learned? What ways need to be let go? And how did you learn these new ways? What brought people together in new ways? Okay, thank you. So you want to know what changed? Well, let me tell you what changed. Well-being moved to the very center of our day, the whole center of our existence. You couldn't start the day, be in the middle of your day, or be at the end of the day without some practice of well-being with yourself and others. We looked in the mirror, we really took a hard look, and we realized, wow, we are beautiful. Every time we looked in the mirror, someone said, "You are beautiful and you are worth living a life of truth in our humanity." Like people actually saw the beauty in humanity. That was one of the first things that changed. It was incredible. Then we started doing these things and we opened ourselves to feel pain. And they started having all these grieving parties. I know it was weird. Like grieving became really cool because we got to actually start to have a place and create a place where we could feel it. More and more and more of us learned all the languages of all the beings on the planet. We started doing this thing where we learned the poetry of numbers. It was amazing. And we felt the frequency of how energetic feng shui touches every part of our lives. Wait, go slow, go slow. We had to learn the importance of will and being and not only focus on function. We started to encouraging imagining. And we started to form small groups on the ground who worked together to meet our basic and more complex needs, one by one. We found a way to always have more than we need. We found a way to always have more than we need without money or stress. We remembered the original story was never divide and conquer, but divine and conquer. We got into this place of imagination activism. Oh my God, I love that. And we had to have access to all sorts of holistic resources. We started to change our names regularly and make more and more new of us how to be with each other without needing static names or labels. It was amazing. It was really an incredible time of change. And you have to know, sometimes it was really easy to change and sometimes it wasn't. But those were all the things that we were doing as we remembered our magnificence and our possibility, and that we're here to play and laugh and dance. We remembered that we are the expression of nature's grace. What's that next chapter? So we made the change. We figured out what changes need to be made. And then we got to this place of the most amazing and unexpected part of building this new bridge to the new world was, and this is where you just get to be like shocked and surprised. Like, what are all the stories people unconsciously have about what's going to be required and the hard things? But what are those beliefs that you really want to challenge? Does change have to be hard? What are some of the most unexpected things that came from this change? If we're holding the story that change has to be hard, or that we have to lose things to get peace and ease, what is a new infusion of thought around change that we can bring into the story? The most amazing and unexpected part of building the bridge to this new world was releasing the story of scarcity. It was like we stepped through a portal via aligning our collective will. And we made a quantum leap together. And it was so fun leaping together. We found this kind of joy and interdependence. We began to fly with this interwing. And the thing that kind of blew our mind, and it really did, it made us pause, was that it was actually so simple. And it was also really amazing and brought us even more laughter and joy every day, which fueled even more great ideas and innovation and energy and change to make the shifts, was that we started witnessing how fast the change was to the system once we started focusing on life. And we discovered that if you take care of everyone, building in balance is way freaking easier. And then there was this point where the work no longer became work. We actually, I know it's hard to imagine, we deployed the word work and threw it away because joy and pleasure and fun became our new way of expressing how we used our life force energy to build and create. We started seeing that our enemy, or that word them, could you scroll down just a little bit more so I can see what's up? thank you, was actually hurt and trying to survive just like us. And we could not move forward till we recognize the shared pain of living in a capitalistic society. See, we were already there. Dun, 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 dun. Wow, we found that out. Welcome, other celestial beings. And then one of the most amazing parts, the unexpected part, was that we shifted our incentive systems to focus on care and life instead of profit. Everything was focused on love and healing. And all the needs of living beings are taken care of. Everything is living in consciousness. We discovered that all we had to do was just give ourselves permission, because we were holding each other hostage to that dominant paradigm selves of reality. And we just had to give ourselves permission to prioritize what we all care about most: life. But here's the secret, and it's a big secret. There was a couple of things we had to do before we could build the bridge to this new world. Just a couple of things that we really had to take care of. And so I want you to make sure that you know what we had to do to get here. So we're going back, and we're making sure that we got everything covered. And again, allow your genius, allow the ancestors to stream their wisdom from the future. Allow your muse to inspire you. But there's a secret. There was just a couple of things we had to do before we could build the bridge to this new world. What wisdom wants to come through you? We had to be willing to lay our bodies down on the earth and lay down our divisiveness. We had to hand it over. We had to do a couple things before we crossed that bridge. We had to send love to the oppressors. We started gathering in circles every day, and we started changing the language from oppressors and sending them love as they are living beings too, just like us. We took on the practice of active listening, which we did while we followed our bliss. Some of us had to have a tower moment to wake up, that lightning strike that breaks the tower. I'm not saying that it was all easy, and I'm not saying it was all hard, but there's a secret. We had to move beyond the limiting stories that corrupted our consciousness and tell the stories that uplifted us. We really had to change the stories that we were telling. And then we had to live them. We started writing prayer stories and singing those stories and dancing those stories and listening to the music of life that was made in between. We realized our innate worth. Thank you, beautiful beings. You guys are so inspiring. How much fun it is to weave with you. And before we leave, maybe we can just put things into the chat and people can just like have a moment to integrate. What is yours? What are you carrying away from this co-created vision story that's coming from our future selves or future ancestors coming back to say, hey, we made it. We made it. And you guys did such a good job. Thanks for all your, I would call it hard work, but based on what I'm seeing, thanks for all of your joyful bliss. Thanks for loving and listening and laying down your divisiveness. Hey, thanks for doing that good, focused tending of making sure that you focus on telling a great story or two or three every day. I'm looking at what else you guys are picking up. Yeah, this artful intelligence, resonance. Thank you. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. Wonderful to be with all of you today. You can do that. You can share that, right? That backcasting from our collective. And I just want to say, like, I often find this when people are getting like really down in the drums and they're just going for it. And it's like we fall down the rabbit hole and it can happen to, it's very easy to do. Like it just starts spiraling down. And you can come in, and you can say, want to play a game with me? And you just bring it up like a game. You're like, want to play a game? And now you have the 5 chapters and you know how to do it. And I invite you to keep playing with them. And there you go.
Thank you, Leah. We had this incredible experience of doing this with you a few days ago, and I just thought, like, what a gift to get to do that together with everyone here and with anyone even who was live. The gifts that you bring of helping to reweave a different story and to shift this sacred storytelling practice that you have and invite that into into our practices and as prayer and as soulful rebellion. I think, as you know, we've heard from Ebby and Amisha, just really turning towards that beauty that is within in the channel that creates by weaving another vision forward, and how that in itself is an act of rebellion against the world that we live in. And it's the most important thing that we can dare to dream. And thank you all for being a part of this collective dream that we just got to weave together. So grateful you're here. And Leah, I know you have a workshop coming up in like 5 days. So maybe you could share about it in the chat, and we can invite others if anyone is available to be a part of it. You want to say a few words about it?
I do. I'll keep it brief because I know you guys are in a whirlwind of beauty and inspiration today. I'll put the link here, and it's called Story as Ceremony, and it's for tools for turbulent change, and it's really for people who want to show up in these times. And it's like you want to show up, you want to say, you want to play a part, you want to help other people work with their stories, the personal stories and the global stories. And so this training is really for you, and it will give you an experience of actually experiencing a story ceremony, but will also give you a lot of the confidence and tools and practices that you can start putting into your everyday life or into your work. And it's a great people that are gathering. So thank you so much. And I hope to get to keep weaving with you guys, amazing gals, everybody. And yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you, Leah. Thank you for sharing that. And I'm really delighted now and I hope people join. I really would, if I could, I would definitely be there. I'm definitely considering it. We're also producing an event that day, but it would be such a gift to get to study more deeply with you. Okay, I am so excited to now welcome the Evoke Artivist Collective, or a few members of the Evoke Artivist Collective, to the stage. I'm currently missing one, Karishi. I think I have to have your video on in order to add you. But I will start until Karishi turns on their video by welcoming and introducing Dr. Diane Regisford, the Empress Evoke, who is an evolutionary from cohort 2 and also a part of cohort 3, as a core part of the stewardship team of the Design Science Studio, and is helping to be an emissary for equity in the community, and is a dynamic social sculpture practitioner, and is invested in regenerative artivism for belonging, advocacy, and placemaking for African heritage diaspora communities. We also will have Karishi Wingington, who is an artist and educator who empowers people to love themselves and create change. And then, of course, we also have Fred Martins here, who's a visual artist, medical doctor, and educator. Thank you to the Evoke Artivist Collective for being here, for being a part of the Design Science Studio. I will give you the stage, and if Karishi comes on video, then I can add Karishi to the stage with you as well.
Greetings, greetings. Thank you, Sister Roxy. Greetings to all. In the spirit that has been evoked of prayer and the imagination, I offer this. For all those in whose footsteps I find my own, this be an offering. For all those who will search for their footprints in my own, this be a devoted calling. For all those in who this moment shape footprints of sovereignty, this be an expression of poetic solidarity. Thank you. This evocation is a call to our ancestral path. It is an affirmation from where we come and the impulse for the creation of the evoking belonging work. Excuse me. The evoking belonging work that sits as an inquiry, that sits as social sculpture practice, that sits as the urban indigene, my own autoethnographic practice. It sits as poetry. It sits as many things in the world. But essentially, we're looking at artivism, polity, and culture using the imagination. Excuse me. Thank you. And today I have the absolute pleasure of introducing a few members of the Evoke Artivist Collective of African diaspora dreamers, multidisciplinary artists. And we together come under this theme today where we are evoking sacred sensing of the African diaspora cultural imaginary. We come together to voyage with the Design Science Studio as part of Cohort 3. We come together for communion, and in this connection unfold into co-creation. So this is a beautiful opportunity for us to do this together. So as has already been introduced by Sister Roxy, we have Karishi coming up, and also Brother Ekele, Fred Martins. Ours primarily as we unfold into this sacred sensing is to explore the cultural imaginary and find our place within these nested systems that we are all here exploring, unfolding into, untangling, unlearning. Ours is a very clear call for belonging. Ours is ancestral work, intergenerational work, and these be some of the imaginings of our African diaspora cultural imaginary. There will be more to come as we continue to journey and as more salons come, but cognizant of time, chronos time at least, I will offer a poem and then I'll hand over to Brother Ekele, Fred Martins, and then over to Sister Karishi. And one of the other sisters in the collective, Sister Napo, will have an offering that will come up later in this program. My poem today is Beauty Imperfect. Embodied notions signal routeways, journeys sailing far ahead. Poppy red fields streak razor-sharp lines through outmoded social constructs and imprisoned minds. Embodied soul expressions oft mistaken for carnal tonality. The trickster incites the road to banality. Those who sit reflexive curtail primal nodes, prefer to sit reflexive, excavating text, long worn narratives, shredding drapes, veiling clouded memories. Shedding skin, now emerging forlorn, signals ebb as lone beacons in the mist. With one eye open, sees the mystery of imperfection, seeming impossibility. Embodied we come, pulsating, mystically woven offerings bounce swiftly over the horizon. For in that moment, truth unfurls her exquisite tempo. Dual fidelity conflicting at once, inviting, perhaps beguiling. Beauty, this eye beholds. Grasping third eye, leading, I tune in, I descend deep, for it is beauteous indeed. The utterance of bold conviction, of trusting, heady convulsion, the surge of knowing, the sense of belonging, self mirrored to self, now bodily connected, light woven paths to truth, the imperfect beauty of those who dare to encounter. For in its supposed perfection, love, a silver lining, glints ebullient. She glints sun rays of light woven truth, submerged momentarily, they now return as laser beams crisscrossing chaos, but the heart leaves no stone unturned. For if this is to be manifest, it is to inhabit the coupling of truth, courage, destiny, ancestral, knowing she rests, beauty imperfect. Thank you. Thank you, thank you. I will now invite Brother Ekele Fred Martins.
Thank you very much, Dr. Diane. And thank you to Rosie and everyone at the Design Science Studio for creating such amazing fellowship for people of great minds to weave together for a better world. So today, as I take the stage, I'll be sharing a slide.
Yes, I will pull that up for you right now. Give me just a moment. Looks great.
Hello, can anyone see this?
It looks perfect.
Okay, I'll be sharing some of my works, review of my work as an offering to this salon. It's about social practices of art for veneration. So if factors such as resilience, diversity, inclusive growth, and distributed empowerment are central to regenerative vitality, then the ideologies of these past Africans should be amplified in our designs. Sharing my social practice of art for veneration, which involves my work that celebrates and honors African leaders who advocated for inclusive growth and distribution. My art highlights the importance of representing and recognizing African leaders who have played significant roles in advocating for social and economic justice. By creating iconic images of these leaders, I aim to bring attention to their contributions and ensures that their legacies are remembered and celebrated. Through this art, I amplify their voices, the voices of these leaders, and their messages of inclusive growth and distribution. My work serves as a visual medium to communicate their ideas and inspire others to continue their work towards a more equitable society. It is my intention to contribute to the preservation and promotion of African culture and history. My art serves as a means to honor and venerate these change makers, ensuring that their stories and achievements are not forgotten. My art is aimed at inspiring dialogue and encourage reflection on the importance of inclusive growth and distribution. It prompts viewers to consider the impact of these leaders' actions and how their principles can be applied in this modern time to encourage individuals and communities to strive for a more and equitable society. So this work right here is called Orange, Black, and Freedom. I was inspired to create this iconic image, this art. I was inspired by when I was listening to the West African highlife music, the passe style of this African music and the retro style of the designs inspired me to create this work. The West African music, West African highlife music is done to celebrate those who are doing well in the society. So this body of work, the comb in Africa, it's more than just an ornament for fashion. It goes to be both cultural symbol and religious has a religious role to play in our society. So I was trying to depict or celebrate icons that were at some point during their work or activism were incarcerated or jailed. The person like Fela Anikulapo Kuti, Martin Luther, Nelson Mandela, Patrice Lumumba, and so many others. These African leaders were speaking about justice, social justice, and fairness for the African society. And placing them on orange background symbolizes the color of imprisonment, which people in prisons usually wear. So I try to celebrate this artist also to start a conversation and ignite change by informing the present youth to remember that they can also canvas for such kind of changes in our society for a better living. Here I have the second work I want to review here, called the Aba Women Riot. The Aba Women Riot, look closely, you will see the faces of women emerging from the palm front in Igbo cosmology in Nigeria. The palm front symbolizes protest. So these women in 1929 through to 1930s, they protested against unjust taxation by the colonials, the colonial masters, their colonial masters. So this feminist movement sparked the quest for independence across Africa. So by creating this body of works, I intend to praise these iconic people, these activists, because there is a saying in Igbo that ekele dike lankomere omekeyozo. It translates in English to when you praise the strong or the mighty for the one they have done, they can do more or do better. So the art for veneration, why I have to showcase people in my work to show them to the world as a reminder, is to make sure that their work is not dead or their ideas is passed across to the new generations and to get a better future that we seek to have in our society. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ekele. Thank you. I now invite Sister Karishi. Is she here, Sister Roxy? I'm not sure I can see her. She's
I'm
here.
here.
Wonderful.
Yeah. Thanks. There I am. Greetings, everyone. Thank you so much, first of all, Dr. Diane and Brother Akele. Such powerful pieces. Thank you, Roxy and the Design Science Studios. I appreciate this journey that we are all on together. I'm going to present a poem that I wrote many years ago called Africa. And, you know, when I think about like what my future looks like one where Africa, her children are no longer the site of extraction and harm, but love, connection, celebration, and that there is constant flow between the children of the African diaspora and the continent herself. So here it is, Africa. She dance, be the dance like her name, fly, flames across the sky like rain. They call her Africa because she's just so smooth, been beat up and abused, used more than any other six, takes her ticks against time and keeps it moving. Like fine wine, she ages well, got the world under her spell, let her children be the muse that dance like she dance, be the dance like mystic. Our history thumps as we move Nubian feet to urban funk, cause now waters pump through blood like hieroglyphics. And she dance like connecting lineage, shouts out, lets hips twist like a sphere. Only her axis rotates within Africanness, like she's wise, carries soul force in her spirit and rhythm in her spine, and she dance and moves legacies that feel like magic. Because they pop around, children dropped off and spread out, stolen from her womb. From Botswana to Brazil, people still feel her groove like hip hop, poetry, jazz, ooh. Dance be the way this lady moves like slavery. Separation from family and land, sweat drops of struggle, yet flesh transcends, and past circumstance gave birth to resilience. So we set trends, bend rules to defend, while out to the base and call our ancestors in. And she danced like lead in our yellow shine, kundalini reverberating beats from my spines, the kind of consciousness that lives past lives, letting past life memories travel through time. And still she danced like creative beings cake walking the line. The diaspora found a way to keep her traditions alive. Got Africans bucket dancing to a bushwoman's pride. And Congo Square be the place where our shuffle survived. And she danced like Cubanos chanting Orisha when Haitian waters start to rise, or Jamaicans on Blue Mountain calling Buffalo soldiers to fight. She danced like a Lindy Hop in resistance, danced till she twisted her pain away, move like, oh, Negro, spirituals, just getting us through another day, because she dance, be the dance like the beat, drop, hip hop in her sleep. 70-year-old men tapping on the street like they want to know who they be. So they trace roots like gumboots, South African rhythms playing on their feet. Nothing but pure African soul, weaving heritage like tracking footprints across the globe. And she danced like a b-boy crisscrossing street noise, while older cats spin ghetto hymns like the fat boys beatboxing in a cipher. Up rockers pushing all nighters, and we chant, yes, yes, y'all, till the beat falls. While crazy legs, there's head spins and windmills till his moves are tight. Saw someone getting hypey under the moon last night, like the Maasai jumping on a mountainside, battling each other like clown dancers in Rise. And chakras keep family like nations of Black folk. Same tone, same strut, same steez, like brothers on the Ave doing the damn thing as they bounce rock skate on D's. She danced. She danced like never-ending motion. Yamaya's arms stretching across the ocean. She moves like water, speaks like the wind, shines like fire, but really she feels like earth, and she dance and dance and dance. Thank you, everybody.
Woo, 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 woo. Awesome.
Oh my gosh, I feel like I want to invite everyone to unmute and share your sounds, your celebration, your reflections, your joy.
Yes.
Yes!
Wonderful. That was great.
Fire.
Ancestor thing.
Thank you.
Thank you all. We are deeply grateful to be part of this voyage. That is just a few of the artivists we have in the Evoke Artivist Collective. We look forward to more unfoldings. Gratitudes and blessings to all. Good night.
Thank you.
I'm muted. Thank you, Akele, Fred, Martins. Thank you, the Empress Evoke. Thank you, Karishi. That was so beautiful. I was like weeping and joyous the whole time. What a journey. Like even this little pocket of the collective just took us on from belonging and more equitable society to the history and showcasing, these incredibly important members, figures of history as a reminder to continue to further these ideas and build more resilient futures. And then this journey that you just took us on, Karishi, like the beautiful, I am half Iranian, half Colombian, born and raised in Tennessee, and like the heart of so much of music history that came from Black culture, and so much that what you were talking about, the history gives and the circumstances give birth to rebellion, and they give birth to like movements. And I felt like I just went through a journey of world building for Black joy and like liberation. And I am like and part of the reason the Empress joined the Stewardship Council for the Design Science Studio is because like I want this to be a safe place for Black and brown people to be uplifted and to be supported. And I am just so grateful that you're here and that you feel that, and that like we get to be in this together. Thank you for bringing your gifts and your art and your presence. I'm just like obviously very moved, and thank you. Yeah, I look forward to more. Very grateful. Good evening, good night, good afternoon, and thank you. Whew, okay, that was incredible. Wow. Journey. Let's go. Okay, I am stoked now to welcome an amazing friend and partner of the Design Science Studio who's doing really incredible work all over the world, but especially in Miami. Alexandra Tomei, who's going to offer like a little workshop about regenerative placemaking. She's a human rights scholar and has worked in refugee camps in Lebanon and is Lebanese, and she's multilingual and a dancer, and is doing some incredible work with Future of Cities, our partner. We're so excited that you're here, Alexandra. Thank you for all that you're doing for so many communities, centering their regenerative placemaking and uplifting other marginalized communities as well out there. And it's great to have you today. Thanks for your patience. I know we're a little bit behind.
That's all good. Thank you so much, Roxy. You are an inspiration. The moment I met this amazing soul, I felt her energy through the Zoom screen. And rarely does it happen, especially these days as we're all trying to virtually connect from around the world. So I appreciate all of you. Thank you to all of these artists before me. I feel very honored and tough to follow now, that incredible work. But I I actually used to live in Egypt, so I was connected with a lot of the dance scene there. So hearing from our West African brothers and sisters looking at that art, and then I was looking online more about you, Fred, and the rest of you, is just very inspiring, because we know that African dance, African religion, African languages, African spirituality really, I think, is one of the greatest influence of the culture that we live and celebrate around the world, from jazz to classical music to hip hop to salsa. And I'm a salsa dancer, but so much of this origin of everything today was the African contribution to world society. And I think that events like this help us really celebrate and remember that. Sorry, I'm here to talk about other things, but I just wanted to recognize those folks before me and how it ties into everything as to why we're here. So I'm here in Miami right now, and as some of you may know, there's Art Basel weekend happening, so it's a bit crazy. I mean, very crazy. A lot of traffic. The prices are insane at restaurants, for Uber. I mean, everything is just totally blown up. And I think, we're based in Little Haiti, and what's been very intense for me to experience here in Miami is that there's such, while people are spending billions of dollars on parties and yachts and exclusive elite art fairs, it reminds us more how much we need center and attention around local artists and artists that don't always get the access to these huge, ridiculously funded exhibitions. And of course, there are so many great aspects of Art Basel. I'm not just being critical. I'm just shining on, particularly in Little Haiti, where we're based. And now I'm going to share a screen. How do we rectify sort of that, division, that lack of access for various artists in different parts of a particular city? And one way that we try, and I'd love to open this up as a discussion, how do we break down barriers and let other artists be known? So in Little Haiti, there's unbelievable local artists. There's street art, as many of you, if you've ever visited Miami, have seen all over the city, which makes the city more vibrant. So I'm just going to quickly share one way that we try to bridge that barrier. This is a work of art that is done by James Brutus and Ralph Jean, who are two Haitian artists. This is their proposal for a mural inside of our hub. So we have a climate and innovation hub based in Little Haiti, Miami, where Future Cities is headquartered and where we do events. And when we'd like to do a call for commission for local artists to do work in our center, in our hub. And this was really important for us to make that call open. And these guys presented, this was their proposal, and they sent us their prices and their costs, and we decided to go for it. So here's a cute, just little video of it underway. Let's see if I can play that. That's James painting inside the bathroom, and then you kind of see the work of art in progress. And so what's important about this to us, and why this relates to placemaking, is this is, our hub is a space where entrepreneurs, tech innovators, climate change, all the way high level to business owners, down to activists, university professors come through. So our hope is to make this artwork available to expose these local artists to as many, to try to bridge that gap to as many folks as possible that come into our space, and for us to be able to share. I'm just going to show you the final product of this work of art. So this was the final. And what's very important is the details, how he discusses, James particularly, how this work of art represents his homeland of Haiti, as you say it in Creole, where, the details of the villages nestled in the midst of these gorgeous mountains. And, it's so important, I think the timing of me speaking is perfect, related to hearing about the revolutionary artwork preceding me in Nigeria and across West Africa. We really recognizing that, yes, there are oppression of these indigenous peoples, but this is our way of resilience and our way of demonstrating our culture and our indigenous and ancestral roots and heritage, and to make sure that we represent ourselves and know that a country like, let's say, Haiti, or where I'm from, Arabic from the Middle East, these countries may try to be exploited for their natural resources, but we bring it back to what really matters. Also at the hub, let me just go back to present mode. I hope you guys are seeing all the different tabs. So I myself, as a dancer, I'm very passionate about dance. So this is just to give a little intro. We also do Haitian and folkloric dance classes in our studio. So just a quick little video of this dance class we did, which was super fun. There were 6 live drummers. And one of the aspects is, again, bring people together who are not Haitian, who are Haitian, who are just living in Miami, in the same city, and don't get to share these experiences together. So, you know, when we think about urban development, us as placemakers, people think of policymakers, of architects, of mayors, these are all the people involved, but we need artists involved. We need cultural guardians of cultural heritage. We need all these figures like yourselves involved in making cities, because this is not just the job. If we leave it to the city planners, if we leave it to the government and to the corporate developers, you know, we're just going to end up with these constantly unequal cities, these cities that don't bridge gaps among communities and let people share and experience culture. For me, that's what I love about cities like Miami or New York or anywhere in the world that, you know, Dubai, Istanbul, that bring together beautiful Asian, African, Arabic, European, Latin, different cultures together to really placemake. And that, to me, you know, for us, placemaking is really about reigniting those relationships, our relationships between each other as humans, and also our relationships between nature and our relationships between ourselves and culture. So for us at Future of Cities, really our core values of what placemaking means and what city making is rooted in understanding and respecting and enabling the power of your community, of your nature, and of the culture in your city. And that really, in our view, is what's going to make a place more equitable, more sustainable, and just more livable and enjoyable for all. I also wanted to kind of take a moment and invite all of you to write in the chat. And what, you know, if you were to ask yourselves, what about your place do you love? And what about the place where you live do you not love? It could be your neighborhood, it could be a city, if you live in a rural area. I invite you all to kind of just, you know, if you want to write in the chat, and then I can kind of respond, and we can have a discussion about, you know, what makes the place livable, what do you love about it, and what do you not love? You know, so for me, when I moved here from Cairo, and, you know, as Roxy said, I'm Lebanese, I've lived most of my life in the Middle East. I was a bit in shock to notice how a city like Miami really has a lot of inequality and neighborhoods that are very divided in a spiritual, figurative way. So for example, Little Haiti is contiguous to the design district. It's contiguous to Wynwood, to Biscayne, to these areas where you see people of drastic socioeconomic inequalities. And those indicators, I believe, are important, but they're also not the only indicators, because you see a city that has so much. Another indicator could be the artistic output, could be the cultural value. And these are other ways that I think we can help rise up our city. So I'm going to start to read something here. Yeah, San Francisco, what makes the place livable? Yes, thank you for writing the questions. So Stacy said, connection with local community, connection with other life forms, connection with the land, the unique essence of a place, the vibration. So I think, and some of the panelists or the speakers before me were also talking about our connection to nature, and that is super important. I think when we think about our relationships as individuals, when we're walking down the street, to, you know, the clean air, to the trees, to what access do we have to natural forms. When nature, again, Fomi has said, when nature is incorporated, when there is sun on all parts of the streets, places to relax in the shade, edible fruit in the trees for free, is very beautiful. And I think what's important to me as well as an international person is, I think we also need to redefine the so-called developing and developed status of nations and of cities. You know, in one of the technically poorest cities of Lebanon called Tripoli, you have clementines in the trees, and you can just be walking down the street and literally grab a piece of fruit. So thank you, homie, for raising that, because this is a city that is considered one of the most dangerous, one of the most poor cities, you know, high on the US list of don't visit it. And then it actually has some standards of things that are more quote advanced or developed than you would imagine. Mara Radio said, I love the energy in full of Ibiza. I miss having more diaspora, hip hop, and funk energy. It lacks a bit of edge and realness at times. It can also be a very expensive place to live. Yeah, so I mean, I think, and this is another big issue, is the access to the same kind of resources, and to the same kind of opportunities. You know, that we're used to using the word underserved, but is the issue really services, or is it just access, again, to the same opportunities? And I think the work of Design Science Studio is so important in these times, especially as I reflect on, again, being in Art Basel here in Miami, where I'm like, why, you know, artists that should be judged on their merit, on their ability, on their hard work, on their contribution. And, you know, we need to open access to various artists through things like courses, through trainings, through exposure, and all the things that I think everyone here is working on. Harisha, so the Black expansiveness in Houston, Texas. Houston is another example of a lot of diversity. I know there's so many huge Arab population in Houston, and this is really important for us because it also gives us voices. When we feel like the government and the media owns a lot of the mouthpieces, our voices, even just the poetry that was read to us before, which was very powerful, that also brought me to tears, these are the alternate, we are the microphone, these are the alternate voices that are going to really makes the difference, because as much as the media and the politicians may try to own certain avenues, the artist forms and the people that stand up change people's minds and hearts. And I've seen, just to comment on that in Houston, I've been seeing the Arab community really rally and really be of strong solidarity. Graffitis in mountains in Bogota. Oh my gosh, Colombia has a lot of amazing examples. I agree. I was in Medellin. It's an incredible experience with artists there. Trees, building trees, that it's walkable. Very good point, Brian. So, I mean, yeah, walkable cities. And again, I think when we think about equity and access, who has equity access to a healthy lifestyle? And even simple things, placemaking your city, making sidewalks, making safe places to bicycle ride. And that affects also public health. It affects obesity. It affects, even your how much money you're spending to get to work, whether you have to drive or walk. And all these things are super important. Access to spring water for filtered trees in all cities. Amanda. Thank you, Amanda. Free filtered water. This is also very true. I mean, and this also relates to, to the sustainability revolution of people not wanting to use plastics and need access to filtered water. Artwork, murals, food truck parks, says Jonathan Safe ways to be outside and build accessibility of all forms. So it's amazing. A lot of you are saying so many of the similar things that I think we, as placemakers, are really trying to promote. So for us, placemaking, so now I look forward to actually sharing these notes of your comments in the chat after this is over, because I want you to all help us inform our framework. We're not building this in isolation. We're building this by being informed, that's by all of your perceptions and perceptions of city livers and rural livers. But for us, really believe community means having a conversation with the local residents, understanding the local businesses, really, whenever you join a new community, actually talking to the residents and understanding the challenges, nature through the biodiversity, and of course, culture and the arts. I'm gonna just move past this and show you this. So for us as placemakers, we really believe in community, nature, and culture being the center of various topics. So if we have 11, as an academic or policymaker, 11 various areas could be, ecological balance, mobility, as we were talking about, walkable cities, education, climate disaster and resilience, health and food security, all of these things that we believe relate, cultural preservation, housing, relate to community, nature, and culture. We're also working in Jacksonville, which has been an incredible experience, and talking about art. I'm going to play here. We did a 48-hour, let me just explain before it starts, a 48-hour mural festival. So Jacksonville, Florida is actually the largest city by landmass in the US. And it's where we have our second Future Cities project called the Phoenix Arts and Innovation District. And we did and modeled off of the idea of a 48-hour film festival. We did a 48-hour street mural festival. And each artist got paid a small stipend to really just create this outdoor gallery. And I think when we're talking about, public arts and supporting artists, this is one way. So let's just see a drive-by of this, the final. A lot of these artists are honoring people who have passed away. They're honoring various cultural aspects. They gave them the platform and interviews to really describe what each work means to them. And now it's like an invitation for various residents of Jacksonville to come visit. Thank you. 45 minutes late. Okay, so I'm going to rush through the end of this, but if any of you would like to connect more, okay. I would love to, I definitely want to connect with all of you, because I think sharing these kind of ideas really helps us move forward. So I'm also going to share one more video about Jacksonville. This is Tanya and Emily, some of our local leaders. So one of the other things that we promote again is a problem with urban development until now is that people sometimes come into a space and bring in outside folks to run a project, urban planning, whether it's architecture or housing or schools. And we really believe in uplifting the local existing leaders. So, I mean, as Roxy introduced me, I worked in refugee camps in my home of Lebanon. And I unfortunately saw how a lot of the NGOs and a lot of the government-funded programs would bring in people from Europe, people from outside, from the US to work in an Arabic-speaking place and give them, you know, a salary that would be triple the times of a local Lebanese or a local Syrian or Palestinian to work with refugees that speak their language, that are from their culture, that are from their area. And, you know, you could also look at things like these crises as an opportunity to bring people together and to, you know, and to reconsider how your places are. So for example, in my NGO, my entire staff that I hired, that I gave jobs to, were Palestinian refugees that were working with Syrians, with Lebanese, with children. They were the teachers, they were the mental health therapists. So another thing that, you know, I'd love to discuss more of you with offline separately, if you ever want to get in touch. We really, really do art so much for mental health, for trauma relief in the Middle East. And, you know, as you can imagine, there's an extreme amount of trauma happening now generationally. Thousands of children are dying right now in Gaza. And this is the children that survive such massacres are just gonna be dealing with generations and years of trauma. And art is such a powerful and cultural way to support the developmental progress and the developmental aspects of these children. And actually, in light of that, I'm going to show a quick video. Sorry, I'm being a little spontaneous with the presentation material I'm going to show. So if you just bear with me one moment. I'm just going to, sorry, it inspired me to show you all just a quick video. Here we go. Of how one of our youth artists, sorry, I know I'm going from Jacksonville back to the Middle East, but I'm just going to be spontaneous and show you guys this quick video. I'm going to fast forward it. This is one of our youth artists, Rita, and she's discussing how music really helped her provide therapy for the children. Just going to fast forward to this part. Okay. Can you all hear it? Fine? Sound is good?
You would need to reshare and click the share computer audio button.
Okay, thank you. So,
Can you click here? It's on the bottom left corner.
bottom left, so stop share.
Or just click screen share again, and you'll see it when you select the window. On the bottom left corner of the share screen button is a share audio, so that it's sharing the audio.
Ah, share sound.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Cool, perfect. Okay, now let me know. Yeah?
هلا هون عندنا بتلاقي الطفل يمكن لانه طلع من حرب فبعد عنده شيء مأثر على نفسيته. في اولاد عندها عنف، في عندك اولاد ما أنا مستعده انه تحكي معك. فانت لما تلاقي شيء توصل فيه العالم كلها مع بعضها اللي هي الموسيقى. الموسيقى شغله كثير مهمه، خاصه هلا يعني لما انت تكون قاعد وبس تسمع لحن لحالك بتصير تقوم بدك تهز وهيك وتتحرك. فالطفل يمكن هذا اهون اسلوب ممكن تجي فيه عشان تحركه وتغير له مشاعره وتزيد ثقته بحاله، يعني هو بيأثر كثير ايجابي على الطفل. يمكن نحن كانت معداتنا بسيطة أكثر من نتصور، حركاتنا بإيدينا يعني شيء استعملنا بجسمنا بس كثير أثرت على هالطفل، يعني إذا بساعة قدرنا نغير هالطفل.
استنوني نخلص اوكي؟
كان جزء من التمرين انه نروح على مخيم تل عباس. كان في ولد صغير اسمه خالد. اول ما وصلنا كله صار يقول لنا انه خالد هذا الولد اللي مثل اللي عامل ضجه بالمخيم.
ثلاثة بنات وثلاث صبيان وواحد مات ضل اثنين وأنا.
المشاكل الموجودة كمان عنا يمكن في عنا كتير أطفال بيعانوا من حالات نفسية، منها الكآبة، منها بيكون عنده رد فعل كتير عنيف. هلا الموسيقى يمكن ما حقدر تغير واقع انه حروب بشكل عام بالعالم كله يعني وين ما كان، بس بنفس الوقت قادرة ان توصل العالم كله ببعضها.
Let me stop myself.
Bravo,
Okay,
bravo.
good.
Oh,
So I think that's a good ending point. If you ever want to connect with me, again, I'm based here in Florida, but I still work in the Middle East, and I'm just so grateful to be here with all of you who believe in the connection with art and our souls and spirituality and revolution and, you know, our connection on this planet. So thank you, Roxy, so much for this platform. Thank you all. I'll just drop my email in the chat. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Alexandra. I'm deeply, profoundly inspired by this wide range of work that you've shared with us here. And I also wanted to mention that Future of Cities partnered with Design Science in 2021, right? During the Miami Art Week, and we did a Regenaissance event there as well. And super grateful for your partnership. I'm also the project director of the Vision Train, and certainly art for cultural change and artivism is at the core of what we're interested in. And I would certainly be interested in connecting with you further about this too. I also, you know, I'm very moved by the last video that you shared, you know, she said music can't stop the war, you know, but it can heal these children, you know, and bring community.
It can bring us closer
together, you know.
And another quote from this Palestinian refugee, he once said, like, putting a smile on those children's faces was more powerful than the bullets in the war.
Yeah.
So don't feel helpless in extreme situations of genocide and massacre, you know, because that's what they want, is to us feel like we can't do anything and we should just feel grief. So while there is grief, we need courage right now. Yeah. I'll just end with that.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for your time. And I hope that everyone out there will reach out to Alexandra as well. And, you know, the dream of being able to work with city planners and our local government officials to be able to design cities, create future cities that are equitable for all is, you know, at the core of so many of our hearts. And so thank you for speaking to that so much. And we, you know, coming up, we actually are revisiting the Evoke Artivist Collective for some spoken word by Napo Machine, who is a multi-award-winning artistic director, theater maker, creative producer, and poet. And she will be sharing some spoken word with us.
One sec, I'm just queuing it up. It's a pre-recorded video.
Yes.
And
the controls to the space station. You guys would be amazed at what all's going on back here. It's the beauty of the live. Enjoy.
Our hearts know in silence the secrets of the days and the night. There is enough space for all of us to shine, for me to take a stand, for you to make that first step, for him to finish his lines, for her to run the race, but for all of us to dance and dance in flames with the stars. So do not shut your temple doors. Whatever you seek, seeks you. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you want wants you. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you know knows you. We are springs of fire, and our dreams lie in the soft arms of life. Sometimes we hear the universe coming without bells. Our ears thirst for the sound of our future, to know words we have known in thoughts. And though at times our beauty is found in soul magazines, the trees and the flowers of the universe applaud us, making our voices to unlock windows of the sunset. We fetch pails of water from the springs to touch others with our gifts. So do not shut your temple doors. Whatever you seek, seeks you. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you want wants you. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you know knows you. Our truest being is safeguarded by light. And though at times our fears sports with time, others' words are made flesh and lungs of inspiration, leading us to infinite streams of infinity, telling us in their musical breeze, our hearts know in silence. The secrets of the days and the night. There is enough space for all of us to shine, for me to take a stand, for you to make that first step, for him to finish his lines, for her to run and run the race, but for all of us to dance and dance and dance in flames with the stars. So do not shut your temple doors. Whatever you seek, seeks you. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you want wants you. Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you know knows you. Whatever you seek, seeks you. Whatever you want wants you. Whatever you know knows you. Whatever you seek, seeks you. Whatever you want wants you. Whatever you know knows you. Whatever you seek, seeks you. Whatever you want wants you. Whatever you know knows you. Whatever you seek, seeks you. Whatever you want wants you. Whatever you know knows you. There is enough space for all of us to shine.
Woo-hoo.
Do not shut your temple doors, for whatever you seek, seeks you. There is enough space for us all. Thank you so much, Sister Napo.
When she sent me this video, I was like, just feeling what it did for this, like the cells in my body, you know, a reminder, and that will, so much of what we stand for is collaboration over competition, and that there is like this like myth of scarcity is a myth, and that it's not that we need abundance, it's this like enoughness. Art Animus, who's here in the chat, he calls me one of my nicknames or extra names is plenty. Plenty. It's about the plentiness of this, like there is that like synchronous reverberation of the universe, that like what it is that we're moving towards is moving towards us. That what is that? It's not pronoia. Have you ever heard of pronoia? It's that like the universe is conspiring in your favor.
Yeah. Whatever you want wants you. Whatever you seek, seeks you. Whatever you know knows you. Yeah. Yeah, beautiful.
Oh, thank you, Alicia. By the way, if y'all didn't know, we are on the vision train right now.
Choo choo.
Choo choo. We're gonna keep on trucking, but we'll hear all about the Vision Train soon. 24-hour nonstop train space to create. So save this as a home for you.
Yes, there is. Thanks,
All right.
Roxy.
Thank you, Alicia. I'm so excited to now introduce another one of our incredible partners, Stuart Cohen of the Buckminster Fuller Institute. And as I bring Stuart up, I just want to mention how grateful I am to Stuart for, he stepped in as the new executive director of the Buckminster Fuller Institute. And in this process, I've had the incredible opportunity to get to know him a bit and his history and who he is and how he shows up. And if, for those of you who don't know, we took a year off of the Design Science Studio because a number of us had pretty difficult life-threatening emergencies, accidents, major health issues. And in this like reinvigoration and turning back on of all systems for the Design Science Studio, as core partners, the Design Science Studio was born with the Buckminster Fuller Institute and Virtual together. It was very much incubated within this community itself. And as now the Design Science Studio is still in deep partnership with the Buckminster Fuller Institute, and we're weaving as an ecosystem this next developmental stage, even for us and what we're doing, has been greatly supported and encouraged by Stuart, who was really instrumental as I was bringing everything back online. So I just want to acknowledge you, Stuart, for all that you've done and the way that you have just been such an ally and support for our work. And in addition to being the executive director, you're an ecological designer, a systems scientist, and regenerative economist. And as a way to kind of give you the stage, I'll show actually a piece of art that was kind of inspired and made by what you're about to share by one of the Design Science Studio Evolutionaries, Stephen Bao. And I'll just let it play for a second, but I'll feel free to start talking and I will take the screen down in just a second. Celebrating the 40th anniversary on the 15th. Here we go.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Roxy. It's a delight for Buckminster Fuller Institute to have this partnership with Design Science Studio. And really the art, the dance, the music, the poetry, the placemaking, all of that, and then connecting that with design science. It's a beautiful thing. We're really excited to see it emerging really strong, with this cohort. I want to really welcome you all to our party. For those of you in the Bay Area or who could possibly be here, on Friday the 15th, we're having a huge blowout celebration. I put the link in the chat. So literally the Institute is turning 40 on December 15th. We were founded back in 1983, but for about 2 or 3 years before kind of the formal founding, Buckminster Fuller himself actually led the work of its predecessor. So it's nice that we have that historic link. And then it went through different name changes and then emerged in the current form. 40 years, and the first director was actually Buckminster Fuller's grandson, Jamie Snyder. And we're just delighted to be standing strong at 40, really stronger than ever. There's increasing recognition of Buckminster Fuller's work in sustainability and regeneration as a pioneer, obviously as a systems thinker, as a futurist, and he just continues to be seen in all these different ways. And I want to tell you an amazing story. Out of the blue last week, we got a call from Rufus Sawwa's assistant's daughter. And Rufus Sawwa was one of the great artists of the 20th century, an incredible sculptor, visual artist, getting incredible recognition around the world now. She was based in San Francisco for most of her working career. And there's a museum exhibit at the Whitney of her drawings. And out of the blue, we got a call from her assistant, and were offered a drawing because Rufus Sawwa and Buckminster Fuller were dear, dear friends. They met at Black Mountain College in that incredible explosion of creativity. Many of you might know about this. In the 1950s, John Cage, the composer, Merce Cunningham, the dancer, Robert Rauschenberg, the painter, Ruth Asawa was a student there. Bucky was there, just mixing it all up between art and science and design. So we have this unbelievable drawing of Buckminster Fuller that Ruth Asawa did, and you can just see the affection that she had, just this impromptu image, and we'll share some visuals at the party. But I give that as a reflection on how Buckminster Fuller really was just trying to encourage all of us to work with integrity on behalf of the planet and work across all the different arts, all the different sciences, to have a lot of fun doing it. He was a coach and a mentor, especially to young people around the world. And that's what this community is all about, the Design Science Studio community, to really nurture and support each other. So Buckminster Fuller Institute is happy to partner with the studio. Formally, we fiscally sponsor the studio and just help to promote it and encourage it and just love everything the studio is about. We're also continuing to support the work of Regenerosity, which was, again, incubated at BFI. It's now a project of BFI. It's going to become a separate nonprofit over time. Regenerosity does beautiful work encouraging community scale permaculture projects, regenerative agriculture projects, especially those that have kind of a training component and a way to fractal out, to scale out and support regeneration throughout the region. So they become almost bioregional hubs or bioregional learning centers. And then a lot of our work at Buckminster Fuller Institute is focused on what we call the BFI Design Lab. And we think of it as the slightly more technical, science-based sister to the Design Science Studio. But again, it all just meshes together. And we'll have an opportunity actually next week to share some of the Design Lab's work with Design Science Studio cohort members to see if there's some crossover, to see if there are projects that studio members might be interested in working on. And to just give you a flavor of it, really so much of our work is focused on bioregional resilience and regeneration, which is a big theme for the studio this year. And our flagship project is called the Planetary Regeneration Alliance. And it's an effort to support capacity for resilience and regeneration, watershed, landscape, bioregional scale, to do that in a totally open source way, to build a commons around it. And as an alliance, there are 7 co-founding members. So BFI helps spearhead this. So we work alongside groups like One Earth, which is doing amazing bioregional mapping, solutions inventories for decarbonization, regenerative ag, conservation, biology. Another key partner is Open Future Coalition, doing incredible work on the social processes of imagining a regenerative pathway, and then at the same time building a tech stack that can support regenerators in enlisting their projects and connecting to investment. Alongside that work, very practical work, standing up what we're calling bioregional banks or bioregional funds. So literally reimagining the architecture of the global financial system. So instead of the terrifying level of concentration we have and the pressure for extraction from an exhausted planet and exhausted communities, to stand up bioregional alternatives that are driven by the needs of local people, led by indigenous people, led by place, and give us a way to breathe and imagine region by region what kind of a region we want to build, and gradually disentangle from any destructive, extractive financial entanglements, rebuild, nurturing relationships. So we see that kind of bioregional finance entity as critical, one or more of those everywhere in the world. And alongside that, we're working really closely with a group called the Indigenous Knowledge Systems Lab, which is a group of 5 Australian Aboriginal academics who are also traditional custodians of land. And they're bringing a 60,000-year tradition of systems science. It's really much more advanced than anything I studied at Berkeley when I did my doctorate. It's a whole nother level of systems science that's tested, that is wise, that has the kind of ethical guardrails that we need. So at BFI, we really want to uphold indigenous knowledge systems as sort of the first part of the design process to ensure that there's wisdom and context and meaning for anything that we're doing. And then, of course, you can add technical disciplines from there. But if you start just with a technical approach and build something technically sweet, it could just cause mayhem, and it has many, many times. And so related to that, we're really engaging with artificial intelligence. It's being built really badly and in a very dangerous way, and also in a way that isn't focused on the kind of planetary transformation that we need. So we have a major initiative to work on regenerative AI or life-centered AI. We're playing with that as a tagline. And we're working with the IEEE, which is the huge trade association for computer scientists and electrical engineers, electronics engineers. They have 375,000 computer programmers alone, software engineers. And we're working on a standard with the IEEE that would give us these kind of ethical guardrails. So we need to give some purpose and meaning for AI development. It needs to be channeled towards planetary thriving, or we should just put it back in a box for now, because everything we do has to be focused on planetary thriving. There's no other possible thing to tackle. And I know all of you are, and just really wish you well in that work. So just an invitation. Remember, BFI itself is sort of a sister to the studio. You can join BFI as a member. You can make a donation. You can engage in our activities. We'll connect you with some of the BFI Design Lab work. Come to the party. And just on behalf of the Institute, just know that Buckminster Fuller would be smiling, knowing that all of this creativity is being unleashed in the service of integrity and for the planet. So thanks so much for the chance to say hi, and do visit however you want. Visit the Institute and get in touch with me. Check out our website and activities.
Thank you so much, Stuart. It's so incredible to get this update, and it's just like such an honor to have the Design Science Studio, which, as you mentioned, Design Science comes from Buckminster Fuller, and he has like such an important pinnacle and found like grounding cord to the Design Science decade, which is completely reinvigorated from Buckminster Fuller, and all of our work is really like in so many ways inspired by him, and then expanding that work, moving from 100% of humanity to 100% of life, and the way that you're also taking that into the future. It's really, really, I think Bucky would be proud. And we're honored to be woven in this way. And definitely, I put the links in the chat, but please, everyone, come to the event if you can on the 15th, submit art. And for all the design scientists out there, there's a much larger net that we are kind of embedded within this historical context that we're continuing to be evolutionary kind of change agents within for a more life-centered future. So thank you for all the work that you're doing, Stuart. And I know it's a lot. We're really grateful to have you here today and to be co-creating.
Thank you, Roxy. Yeah, absolutely.
And we'll see you in a few days in the studio. I'm going to bring up Megs, who was having a hard time finding. Oh, there you are. Megan Rottigliano, do you hear me? Maybe she's not.
I do. I'm here. But
oh, great.
Our little notes say that you're introducing Roswell.
Oh, my bad then.
But I can.
Which is Alicia. I like totally made that up. We are just trying to dance. I'm just calling you up to say, well, anyway, here's Meg.
Alicia is here.
Yay!
Well, it's awesome that we're all on deck. And I also just wanted to say I'm super inspired by Stuart, and I got to sit in on one of the Bucky Fuller calls like about a month ago, and it was so inspired. And I love the talk around how do we use AI in a conscious way. in a way that is also, creating sustainability for the planet. And so thank you so much for speaking to that. And I would love to hear more about how that conversation unfolds too. Up next, we have Roswell Barletta, right? Who is a multi-passionate product designer, weaving UX principles into sustainable wellness spaces. Roswell is here to speak with us about Glazed Diffusion, which is an ethereal sanctuary nestled within an Earthship dome dedicated to peace and transformation. So I am super fascinated and excited to introduce Roswell Barletta.
Hi, everyone. I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited to talk about Glazed Diffusion in my two-part series. So the first part of Glazed Diffusion is bringing third spaces into a wellness center, and what does it look like to be surrounded with Gaia as we heal our bodies. And so in this the thing that I'm sharing in my Becoming is the experience of what does it look like when the dome is actually built already. So I've been exploring the concept of glazed diffusion, and what it means to me is the act of the pottery, where you have the clay and you bisque it and it gets fired. And then there's another iteration that happens before it gets glazed, and you infuse your intentions into the space, and there's a compound story that happens. And in this, I'm exploring the multisensory senses that happens, and utilizing tools such as Playtronica, which I will be demoing today, which conducts energy, and being able to use sound, visual, and water. I will be playing a audio reactive visual in hopes to infuse sound healing into this. And in my journey of becoming, I've discovered Kyle Meredith, also known as Prismatic Visuals. And I've been studying a lot of his files and what it looks like to build this. And so through his creation, I would like to infuse my own creation in the sound healing space. And without further ado, I will be sharing my screen to show this visual. Can everyone see this? The moving, okay, great. So what's really cool about this is, in order for this to work, I would hold this Playtronica, and I would have this cord dunk into the water. You can't see the water. And because it's audio reactive, I'm placing it here, and I'm tapping the water, and it's creating the ripple effects that's happening. And in my vision, I was assuming that in a dome, we would be able to project this and have a water basin, and everyone would be drumming in this bigger scale. And me tapping into this water would be everyone being able to play with sound and heal together, and be able to use same visuals and be intentional with the visuals, and possibly use the Fibonacci swirl and very much of the Metatronic ways of healing. So this is my progress of becoming, playing with the different multisensory pieces. And I'm very interested in being able to infuse different sounds like gongs, maybe even vocals, to really play with this and really put on a full experience in the glazed diffusion experience. Thank you all for letting me share this little bit.
Roswell, this is absolutely stunningly beautiful. And I think you explained a very complex concept with total elegance and grace. And I would love to sing for your rippling pools. And thank you so much. That was just really, really something special. Really excited to see what you create next. Thank you, Roswell. And definitely, folks are asking you all kinds of cool questions in the chat. So when you have a moment, you'll find them there. So by way of introduction, my name is Megs Ritigliano. I live in the Motor City of Detroit, Michigan. And I've been a longtime friend and fan of Roxy's. And I just want to take a moment for us to lift her up. It's just been incredible to see her growth as a leader and a community cultivator. Oh my God, I'm going to cry. And when I saw her crying earlier with the folks, and she was so happy to have, African people feeling celebrated and loved. I thought it was just absolutely stunning. So big acknowledgement for Roxy. I told her earlier that seeing her in production action is like watching LeBron James play basketball. Just the way that she orchestrates and moves through space and time is really commendable. So much love. Okay. And with that, I would love to introduce our next fabulous presenter, Isabella Welch. Isabella is a disability inclusion consultant, model, speaker, and designer of adaptability clothes. Ladies, gentlemen, and everyone in between and included in that, join me in welcoming Roswell. Much love.
Hi. My name is Isabella, and I'm here. Well, I'm going to share a little bit about my story, and then how I'm working on this becoming that I'm working on. So I was born with a really rare facial cleft where my lip was attached to my eye, and by the time I was 19, I'd had over 20 reconstructive surgeries to repair it. And I'm really big into connection and creating awareness. And so from the time I was very young, I understood that education was the antidote to ignorance. So when somebody came up to me, stared, made comments, I always walked up to them and I tried to explain myself. And it really shaped who and how I thought about the world. Part of that was recognizing that by the time I was like 19, 20, early adulthood, I would be done with surgeries. That was the goal. And then when I was 19, I was diagnosed with a really rare genetic condition known as vascular Ehlers-Danlos syndrome. It's actually fatal. It comes with a bunch of different symptoms, from hypermobility and easy bruising to more serious things like arterial dissections and aneurysms. And because of that, it led me to really understand what it meant. Before I was diagnosed, I never identified a part of the disability community. I just thought that my eye looked different and it didn't really impact my life. And then when I was diagnosed with EDS, my whole world changed and I began to experience a myriad of symptoms. Because it's progressive, you really start to feel the symptoms in your early 20s. And so by the time I was 22, I had been bedridden for months and navigating what it meant to be living with EDS. And part of that is wearing compression clothing. And because I'm very petite, I can't fit into regular size clothing. And so it would have to be customized. And as I was going through the process of getting the compression clothing, I really realized that, there's so many deterrents to wearing them because, for one, my skin is very sensitive. So the materials were ripping off my skin as I would take them off and they didn't fit well. Also, I love fashion. I love to be put together, and it really felt like it was just every time I would try to incorporate wearing the compression clothing with whatever my outfit was, I would end up taking off the compression clothing, because it felt like it clashed. And so I've been working on creating a line of compression clothing to hit certain markers. So from comfortability to aesthetics to the actual weaves in which we're using to best support our vascular systems. And I think that as we've been talking, I think so many of us have mentioned this idea of creating awareness and inclusion, and so much of what I've learned through having EDS is this idea of the unseen and the unknown. And if we don't see it, then how can we be aware of it? And so I used to think that, or I came to believe that my eye was really the catalyst to creating awareness for invisible disabilities and making the invisible visible, exactly. And creating this world where we don't just see disability as a visible thing, because it's so much larger than that. And how do we create an environment that's actually inclusive and actually supporting everyone? And so, wow, the compression clothing is just one avenue of creating a way to include everyone, and include to also remove the deterrence, because I think that unless we can remove all the deterrence from actually supporting what one needs as an individual, then we're going to keep on that cycle. And wow, I'm so sorry. I'm actually in a flare-up right now. I just got out of the hospital, so I am very kind of all over the place right now. But that is my project that I'm working on currently.
It did not seem like that at all.
Thank you,
Bella. And my first reaction to you was that you were just like stunningly beautiful. Like that was like actually like the first thing I noticed was how beautiful you are. And I just want to give you like so much heartfelt love for your bravery and your boldness and your honesty and vulnerability, and for taking the time to use your life as a way to increase people's understanding and empathy, and to pave a path where others can maybe have a lighter load to carry.
And I just want to say like that this program and what we're working on is so vital to that. I personally can speak that this program has been the most inclusive program I've ever been a part of, in the ways in which they are the most supportive group of people, and so inclusive in like making sure that everyone feels seen and heard and has the time to take care of themselves. Oh my God, I'm gonna cry. But it has been that the most supportive community, and I feel so blessed to be included in it. So thank you guys.
Well, we are also just tremendously lucky. And I have an interesting contact for you. I'll follow up separately. A friend of mine that curates some interesting exhibitions that I think would be really interested in your work. So I'll follow up on that. And you're getting all kinds of miraculously beautiful comments and reflections in the chat. So maybe we'll save the chat. So if you just want to take a moment, you don't have to get to those or answer them right away. You can just feel this moment of total love and appreciation. Thank you, Isabella. All right. And next, I get to read a pretty sexy and half intimidating bio, but she totes deserves it because she's compiled everyone else's bios. So, ladies and gentlemen, Roxy is the co-founder, ecosystem director, and architect of the Design Science Studio and the CEO and founder of Hab Ritual. She is a regenerative artivist, protopian futurist, ontological designer, experiential producer, transdisciplinary social sculptor, and creative doula. She's a student of living systems, regenerative design, and decolonial sustainability. She has over 15 years of experience working at the intersection of art, science, experience, and technology. Her quest is to harness this intersectional approach to catalyze social and systemic change through inclusive, transdisciplinary collaborations for the regeneration of our planet and culture. And we're definitely seeing the evidence of that at work. Her path is grounded in a commitment to creating inspiring and embodied ways of learning together. That was a really fun introduction for a woman who needs virtually no introduction, but that was really fun. And now we know a lot more about you. Ladies and gentlemen, Roxy.
Thank you. Oh man, Bliss in the chat was like, how many tallies of tears have we got? I got so many. I wanted to like, interrupt when you were saying the sweet things about me, but I was sitting on my hands. I was like, that's okay. I'm going to be next. I can say something in gratitude to you. If you all haven't been able to tell so far, Megs is like one of the most beautiful, authentic reflectors. She is, a mentor, a friend, a sister to me. I got to work with her and under her leadership or with her leadership at the Burning Man organization for 5 years. And you have always been such a supporter and have helped me see the qualities in myself that are like, your reflection of those qualities in me have helped me continue to like grow and evolve to the person I am today. And I love you so much. So thank you. Okay. Yay. Love Bile. Okay, y'all. Hi. Oh, Isabella, Roswell, thank you. Wow, that was just really, really spectacular to hear about both of your projects. And I am just back up to actually share with a little bit, slightly more time about our fundraiser that we have right now, our Diversity and Equity and Inclusion Scholarship Access Fund. And I could not have planned a better moment for sharing this, like right on the heels of Isabella. I think hearing you actually say that this has been a very inclusive experience for you. We really work hard to do that, and we're trying to do more of it. We really want to be able to have like translators and, more spaciousness also for like, the team to be able to continue to support and to decentralize better structures for all of you to continue to contribute, all of those people who are a part of the community and also the extended community so much. So it's really an honor to get to share a little bit more about this initiative. I also just want to mention that we wrote it in the chat, but someone, since we started this, who has made one donation, made a donation for $2,023. So whoever you are, thank you. This is exciting. And literally no donation is too small. It's a really important moment that we're in. We have this fund that's open specifically because we have this gap that we're bridging this year. Many different factors, I think, coming back online after some downtime. But we have 76% of the cohort that's currently on scholarship. And so in this process of bouncing back after a challenging year, we know we're building a regenerative future together. And so we've opened up this scholarship access fund to actually make it through the end of this cohort well, to continue to support the 76% of artists who are currently on scholarship and continue to be able to do this work. So we're really, really passionate about amplifying all of these different intersectional voices because it's vital to our quest. And so this will help us to reach that. And also, if you know people, as a woman of color, I am also kind of stepping into something that's a little bit of uncomfortable territory. Honestly, I'm really good at making stuff happen. And this fundraising stuff is really like, getting better at it. Say, doing my best to step into this role because it's part of what I've chosen to do in the world, and I believe in their work, and we can see why it matters by experiencing it together. And so, yeah, we're like, I've heard great things that there are, also philanthropists who like are, this program might be really well suited to support, or like specific partners, sponsors who are really aligned. So, this is just to kind of get us through May, but where, I think that we will find the right, structure to make this a really sustainable initiative so we can embody what we do. And we have been able to do so much. We have helped launch 266 global projects with 373 innovators from 42 different countries. And our scholarships, like adding up all of the amount of money that the program would cost that we've granted in scholarships, is $334,500, which is pretty amazing. And so we are committed to continuing to do this work, and we're going to be able to continue to foster creative interventions for regenerative futures and empower communities that champion social and environmental justice, like these artists, scientists, designers, and global innovators. We're really trying to cultivate cultural change. And it is, as mentioned, often missing from dominant narratives to amplify these voices. And we believe that they deserve to be heard to create a brighter and more equitable future. So we thank you. Everyone has this right to be creative. This creativity is within us all. And we are amplifying it because as this beautiful quote from Alexa says, it is an antidote to destruction. When we create with intention, our creations become the invocation, and the space inside and between us becomes the sanctuary. This is Alexa Garcia, one part of Climbing Poetry, also an incredible artist and visionary who came to teach in the Design Science Studio, and a friend. And in order to move towards these more equitable worlds, we must first envision it, and we're doing it here together. This is a community of practice, in addition to being a cultural incubator. And I'm just so grateful that we were able to come together today to envision these futures, because they are always first an idea. And these principles of design science help us to create with intention and think about how big we can, how big can we think? How many possible futures can you imagine? How does nature create? And how do you know what you know? And science in a way that's like more quantitative and not so qualitative, but both. Known, understanding, ancestral ways of knowing. These are some of the like core pillars of why we're about design science. And so these may be lenses and an opportunity to put those lenses on as we move through trying to help usher and doula a world that does work for all. So thanks for being here. And I'm really excited now to introduce Vincent Arena. So Vincent Arena has been vital to your experience today, and is also a member of the community and was a part of Design Science Studio Cohort 2, and the platform that all of us got to be nested within today. If you haven't noticed, it is incredibly elegant and beautiful, was built by Vincent and his team at Catalyst, which was incubated in the Design Science Studio. And Vincent is a systems designer, an information architect, and a social entrepreneur. He's the founder of Catalyst, a connection platform that specializes in mapping and matchmaking. And the goal of his work is to help people navigate and find the people, resources, and opportunities they need to create coordinated impact. And right now he's going to help us figure out how to coordinate to move to the next part, which we are behind schedule, but the Catalyst platform is really amazing, and he's going to show us around how to use it. And I'm going to bring you to the stage. Vincent, thank you for all that you've done to make this community shine. I'm so grateful for you.
Thanks, Roxy. Hi, everyone. Hope everyone's enjoying the day today. So I'm going to jump right in since we're behind schedule. So, okay. So like Roxy said, Catalyst is a platform we've been using for basically coordinating all the different talks and the agenda. And so I'm just going to do a brief overview of the event page. So as you scroll down, you'll see there's at the top right here, a bunch of little things you can click. You can see the thing that's happening right now and a calendar here. But if you want to see like the full agenda you can click agenda and that'll take you down here. There are a few different ways of navigating the experience today. And one of them is actually a project that I focused on in the Design Science Studio, which was creating this encyclopedic table. And so all of the different experiences are categorized by the main elements of society that they are in. So for example, in code and software is the talk that you guys are in right now, Navigating Catalyst. So if you were interested in a particular domain like design or mental health or education, you can click one of those and see the different talks that are tagged with those spaces. Additionally, we have 3 main tracks that we're going to be splitting into right now. They're color-coded, so they're the Vision Train, which is where we are right now, the Futurist Cafe, and Beaming. And so for those, there are separate links. If you know you want to go to the Futurist Cafe or Beaming and you click one of those, the Zoom link will show up here. You can just open that in Zoom. In addition to that, you can go to the agenda, and there's a few different ways to kind of view what's going on. So you can search and filter if there's a specific artist or person that you know that you want to see. I have been adding like favorited talks that I want to see, so then you can see which ones are happening and coming up and what room they're in. So I'm going to go to reporting live from Art Basel. If you click on any of the talks, they'll open a little pop-up, and then you can see which track they're in. And so if you click to view that track, then you'll have the Zoom link to join right here. If it's going on, there also will be a little button that says join event if it's happening at the current time. And one other thing that I'm going to share is this. I made a very simple one-day agenda page. And it's been incredible working with the Design Science Studio because we've been able to, over the past like 6 or 7 months, iterate like 8 or 9 times on making this interface even better. But this will show you the 3 different tracks that we're about to break into, and you can see all the events that are kind of happening at the same time, also color-coded, or you can switch using the views on the top here to just view kind of like the entire agenda like before. And if you get lost, there's a button here to come back into the Vision Train. So I'm going to search for Navigating Catalyst, and I'm going to share both the link to the simple agenda as well as the main event page. The simple agenda is a great link if you're on your mobile device right now and you just want something that is just going to take you to the agenda here and help you pick a session. So feel free to take a few minutes to click around some of the different talks, read the bios of what's happening. If you're interested in it, you can favorite it by clicking the little star button, and then that'll show up in your list of favorites for the event today. And there's the join event button, which will show up if the event is about to happen, and clicking that will also open up the Zoom room, which I'm not going to do because I'm going to get kicked out of here.
Amazing.
Okay, so
Nice
get
work.
ready to explore. There are the links.
And I'd say we're about, I think like 12 or 13 minutes behind schedule on that one. So we are just add 12 minutes to whatever you're saying. We're gonna do a little start and stop the recording to give the train a break. We're gonna put on some music for a second to give you a moment to think on your own. And then Marv is gonna kick off. So thanks, Marv, for sticking around. Sorry to make you stay up late. Love you. Okay, so out there in recording land, see you in a bit. People who watch. All right, anyone in the live stream? We have been live streaming. Hello. We're going to stop the live stream for this portion and welcome you into the event. So please come inside, and we hope to see you soon.